10 o'clock until just few hours ago, we held a meeting with Her Royal Majesty, Dr. Mayibuye Moroka, who is Hosi of Barolong Bosleka in Tabanchu. So we had very extensive discussions about the process that we are engaged in. So Her Royal Majesty carries a lot of wisdom in terms of understanding of the institution of traditional leadership and broadly around issues of rural development. She was leading on behalf of the National House of Traditional Leaders a process which developed a master plan called the Invest Rural, an investment strategy that focuses on rural areas. So as part of this process, we as the leadership went to have interaction with Her Royal Majesty Moroka. So she's Moroka because from her family comes the 7th president of the organization which was founded here in Bloemfontein as the South African Natives National Congress on the 8th of January 1912. Dr. J.S. Moroka, who originally comes from Tabanchu, which she is royalty over. And that 7th president, Dr. J.S. Moroka, had succeeded someone who was the 3rd and 5th president of the South African Natives National Congress, called Zakaria Richard Mahabane. So that is the rich history which we got to interact with, of a family which comes from that rich history. And of interest as well is that we were also interacting with the biological children of Dr. J.S. Moroka. It's important, comrades, that we speak about that slight history because the process which we are here for, to some degree, is reminiscent and reflective of the process which was started after the launch of what became known as the Union of South Africa, the unification of the 4 provinces to become the Union of South Africa, the Transvaal, Natal, Cape, and the Orange River Colony where we are. So after that unification of the 4 provinces, which were colonial settlements, Pixley Kaisaka Seme, who was a student outside of South Africa overseas, wrote extensively to say that black people should unite to form a liberation movement or an organization that must represent all of them. And he was far much younger. He was in his early 30s in terms of age. And he was able to assemble religious leaders and royal leaders here in Bloemfontein. And the reason why Bloemfontein was the chosen venue for the meeting in 1912 was because Bloemfontein geographically is at the center of South Africa. So if you come from the other end of Musina, from the other side in Cape Town, from the other side in Umhlaba Lingana, from the other side in Kabeja, so you will more or less arrive at the same time if you are coming to Bloemfontein. So that historically has been a central space for national deliberations that got to define the history of South Africa's politics. Now, comrades, we are here as a Mayibuye Consultation Process in the province of the Free State to want to listen to volunteers of Mayibuye here in the province to give us their honest reflections about the possible formation of a political movement which will be registered as a political party but will lead a political movement. There's a difference between a political movement and a political party. We will explain in greater detail what is the difference between the two. But the mandate that we are working on is on whether we should constitute a political movement which should exist as an instrument, a fighting instrument in the hands of the colonized and oppressed masses of our people. Because for many years, the black majority and Africans in particular have been promised the fruits and benefits of so-called freedom. 1994 happened as first inclusive elections for all people who reside in this part of the African continent. And that came with the promise that such is going to be accompanied by a better life for all. But it appears 31 years after, there is no better life. Is freedom. The fact that we'll share our that had it. Africa, South Africa is still an enclave of white capitalist control. South Africa is still a neo-colony whose mineral resources, natural resources continue to enrich and benefit colonial settlers and invaders that have taken everything that defines us. They've taken our land, they've taken our mineral resources, they've taken our animals. So majority of animals here in South Africa today are owned by colonial settlers, be it cattle, goats, sheep, elephants, everything. Majority of animals are owned by the colonial settlers. Since they repossessed us, they dispossessed us, they continue to reproduce on the same. So we want everything, but also they took our identity. They eroded just what it means to be us as black people. We even doubt our own knowledge systems. We even doubt our healthcare systems and healing systems. They even got to caricature and destroy our healing systems. You know, to the extent that even legitimate traditional healers are referred to as witch doctors, as if it's possible for one person to be a witch and be a doctor at the same time. That is how the system of colonialism got to erode everything else that is us. And comrades, we should take note that since the arrival of colonial settlers, there have been wars of resistance against colonial invasion. So you know, in the wars of resistance against colonial invasion, it was a relay race. You know, in a relay race is when in sporting activities or in athletics, it's when four people are running in the same race, they've got the same purpose of finishing the race. So in the relay race of the struggle against colonialism and apartheid, we started with those who fought the wars of resistance. They were fighting with spears. In the beginning, they used to fight with the long spears which they used to throw. And they realized that the throwing of the spears was dispossessing them of their defense mechanism or attack mechanism. because the colonial settlers had superior superpower and gunpowder to defeat all of them. And then later on it evolved into now handheld spears, which on very rare occasions, few battles were won against colonial invaders. But in those wars against colonial invaders, there are very few battles which ourselves we won as black people. But overall, we lost the war. So as black people in this part of the African continent, the South, we are still a conquered people who are defeated by colonial settlers. And how do you see that? We are still landless. We are still subjects of colonial settlers. There is nothing that has fundamentally changed that defines majority on average of black people in South Africa, despite the so-called attainment of freedom and emancipation. So in this relay race, there came the generation that I spoke about of freedom fighters who started the political parties, the generation of Pixley Isaac Aseme, of Sifako Makhato, of John Langalibalele Dube, of Z.R. Mahabane, of J.S. Moroka, of Sol Plaatje, and those who said that let's take the fighting button, now let us think that we will fight through unification. But they still did not win the war. In that relay race, there came a generation which said, freedom in our lifetime. The generation of Apim Dow, of Nelson Mandela, of Robert Mangaliso Sobuku, of Nelson Mandela, of Oliver Tambo, of Walter Sisulu. They too did not win the battle in the relay race of true freedom and emancipation. There came a generation after that of the Black Consciousness Movement, of Steve Bantu Biko, of Tsetsi Mashinini, of Khotso Seatlholo, the most militant component of the freedom fighters against apartheid. They too did not win the battle for total emancipation. And of course, out of the 1976 generation that confronted apartheid, the apartheid system, machinery, and governance began to be shaken to its foundations and went to the negotiation table to hand over political power and retained economic power. Actually, during the negotiations, one of the representatives of Anglo-American said that at the end of the day, these negotiations must work and the rhetoric must be dropped and business must continue to do business as usual. And that is what they got to achieve. There have been so many generations that tried to fight for true emancipation and have not achieved that. But we must take note, comrades, that in the relay race, you know, when you are running a relay race, you are running forward. There are those who will take the button and run backward and reverse some of the gains which could have taken us to some degree of progress. So we are saying now that as a generation, we should take what was the common thread of all these freedom fighters. When those who founded the South African Natives National Congress met here in Bloemfontein, when they met to found the South African Natives National Congress, their clarion call was Mayibuye Africa. When the freedom in our lifetime generation of the 1940s developed the program of action that got to revolutionize the liberation movement, their clarion call was Mayibuye Africa. When the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania wanted to radicalize the struggle outside of the Congress movement, yes, the clarion call was Isolate, but the principle and clarion call was Mayibuye Africa. When the South African Students' Organization was founded out of the racist NUSAS, the clarion call was Mayibuye Africa. When the June 16 generation resisted the imposition of apartheid and rejected all the apartheid laws and system, the clarion call was Mayibuye Africa. So we as this generation are taking the baton from all those generations under the clarion call of Mayibuye Africa and committing that we are going to run the race until the finish line. That is what defines this movement. And the reason we're doing so is because that the instruments, the formations that are supposed to be our vehicles to freedom are not such. The ANC is not an instrument for liberation. It has demonstrated to the people of South Africa beyond doubt that the ANC will not bring about any freedom. The landlessness, the joblessness, the homelessness, the hopelessness is what continues to define the people which the African National Congress promised to liberate and emancipate. The saddest reality is that what appears, what was supposed to be the two alternatives to the African National Congress are not true liberation forces. Mkhonto weSizwe and the economic freedom fighters are not liberation forces, are forces of self-enrichment by those who lead it. That is the fact that we are confronted with. Are forces that do not have capacity to mobilize the whole of society towards true emancipation and freedom. That is why we say that let's pause and listen to all the people of South Africa. Let's listen to traditional leaders or royal leaders. Let's listen to religious leaders in all corners of South Africa. Let's listen to all the people of South Africa on what is to be done. What do we do moving forward? Because we have been sold a dummy of freedom. What we're experiencing now is not freedom. So comrades, we have started in the province of Limpopo. We interacted with traditional leadership and volunteers of Mayibuye in the province. And we are here today in the Free State to listen to all the regions of the Free State. We want to hear from all the volunteers from Tavomo Futsanyana, from Malut Apofung, from Pumelela, from Mantsupa, from Sitsoto, from Ditlabeng. We need to hear from all the comrades and volunteers from Fezile Dabi, from Mafube, from Mwate, from Okaka, from Metsimahulu, as to what is to be done. We need to hear from the comrades from the Joleputsa of all the dysfunctional municipalities of Machabe, of Masilo Nyan, of all those municipalities which are still under the super exploitation of the farm owners there. This province has got the highest number of voting stations in farms. And during votings, they disallow other political parties to participate in elections. That is why we have got unreasonable votes that are acquired by both the Freedom Front Plus and the Democratic Alliance in this province. Because these white farm owners, they lock up their workers and they possibly vote them with a torch and say, why are you voting? With a torch. to make sure that they vote, because the number of votes which the Freedom Front and the DA receives in black majority farms are not explainable. It's not possible that in secret any person can vote for their oppressors. It's not practical. But if you go and check the results of the farm VDs, here you will realize that they are an anomaly. We want to listen to the people of Mangaung, of Buchabela, of Tabanchu. We want to listen to the people of Karib in all the 3 municipalities that do not have any signs of development, neglected Mohokar. So that is where we are. And comrades, be rest assured that in our listening, we have views as well. We have perspective. We can make an analysis of just what is happening here in South Africa and all the provinces. And one of the views and part of the views that we have is that even if you can pray, even if you can vote in a majority, we will not volunteer to be an organization that is going to be controlled by white people. We are not going to agree to be an organization that is going to serve the interest of the capitalists. We are not going to agree to be an organization that disrespects traditional leadership and religious leadership. We are not going to agree to be an organization that disregards Ubuntu. We are not going to agree to be an organization that promotes corruption. We are not going to agree to be an organization that defends corruption and wrongdoing in the state. So there are certain values that define us as well. But we are willing to volunteer for a revolutionary project that is going to bring about true freedom. What we are here to listen to is what should distinguish this movement from all these existing political parties. Our people are legitimately concerned. Even where we come from now, one of the members of the Royal Council said that, but these political parties have been making promises after promises. How are you going to be different? And that is how we should now sit to discuss how are we going to be different here in the Free State province as Mayibuye. There is not a single functional municipality in this province. Not a single one, not even here in Mangaung, which is supposed to be a metropolitan municipality. There is no direction in terms of what is happening. There is just people playing factional games, imposing their friends and people they call mentors to be mayors here. How do we liberate ourselves from such a conundrum? So comrades who are here to listen, all of us will pay attention and let us be at liberty to speak openly about any issue. If you are not yet convinced about this project, you can speak as well and express your view. If there are areas that you need clarity on, you can speak as well to say, if we were to form a party or movement, how are we going to handle the following issues of factionalism, of gatekeeping, of infiltration? Every view is allowed to be expressed in the consultation process. So that at the end of the day, we can boldly say that we have spoken to all the people of South Africa. And this is the outcome of what we have got to listen and hear from all the corners of South Africa. Comrades, we're going to hand over back to the chairperson. We're here to listen, and we're going to listen attentively. Thank you very much. Mayibuye. Yeah, Africa. Mayibuye. Yeah, Africa. Thank you very much.
Re a leboga. Realeboha, Comrade Convener of the Mayibuye Consultation Process, Comrade Floyd Shivambu. Comrades, we are going to note hands. And we are going to, can we have the microphones available? Thank you. We are going to start noting hands from this side. Ribuye ka puo e re leng comfortable ka yona. Let's speak ka language e re leng comfortable ka yona, comrades. And let's stick to the point so that all of us can be given an opportunity. We've got all 5 regions of the Free State here. Fezile, Dabi, Harib, Lejoli Putso, Thabo Mfutsanyana, and Mangaung. So I'm going to start noting hands this side. Can I note hands this side? We are going to first introduce ourselves. I am So from Mangaung, from Ward 1 of Bloemfontein, like that. Thank you very much. Yeah. Mekwena. Wabua Mekwena. Mofe microphone.
Ke rata ho leboha haholo. Ke leboha ntate Modimo hobane ra itlisa ke ka mahao. Ke rata fela hore ke leboha ka ha o bua ka generation. Gona re tlo suta. Ke nnete politiki e teng. Mare Modimo o tla pele. Ba tshwanetse ba sokolowe ntho ena e tsebe ho tsamaya. Ke rata ho leboha hobane ke nnete ha o thwa Africa bana ha ba itsebe. Rona re tseba bophelo bo rileng ga bophela. Ke ka hona ha o thwa ha e boe fela. Ke batla le jwetsa baetapele e buiswa fela ke Modimo. Ha ona sangoma sefe kapo sefe, Jesu ke Modimo. Ke yena a ka etsang tharollo ka ro Free State. Ha fela re ka ba one together. Ke se Modimo a se batlang. Ke batla fela o ntshwarele dintho tsena tse etsahalang. Ke di bone 2019 ka June ka di 4 dintho tsena before COVID ganti dintho tsohle di tlo hlaela bolotsana ntho tse mtho mo president ntho a ntseng a bua di ka bebeleng. Ha o bala bebele Modimo ha o fa ntho tsenolo o fa bebele ansa rona a semang fela ntho ke batlang ho lo bolella ne ke sa tse gore ke tlo ba teng mona. Last week, that le rato le kileng ka ba rata ka lona le bona ba rate batho jwalo ba eta pele re feila ka hobane ha rena pelo tsa batho. Ya leboha.
Ke kopa o ba bolelele mme Makwena hore o tswa o kae.
No we sure
Ke mme Makwena ho tswa ho kae.
Ke tswa Lady Brand. Sure ha se ke Lady Brand. Ha le mpona la bona ke smart. I love myself and I ke jola ke tseba.
Re a leboha mme Makwena.
Ke re ke le bolella jwala ka ha tshwala. Ke batla lo jetsa go ntate Modimo o motle. Le tshwantse le ithate. Le itlhokomele le batho ba batjha mokgatlo ona ha o thewa le skebela o dia le tseba la o phamisa ne ke shapa ntweng ne ke ithunya mara ke la ka tloella dintho tsohle mara ka Jesu ya phela le ka etsa tsohle ka yena.
Re a leboha mme Makwena. Just pass it over here. Thank you.
All right, let me pass my revolutionary greetings to the constituency, the leadership. My name is Bongani Bulawa, the former SRC president of the Central University of Technology, Bloemfontein campus, and I'm a professional teacher. Now, re bua Sotho hona le batho ba holo ka mona. Re ke reng fela hela yalo Marcel. Hela yalo sa.
Hela yalo.
All right, ke rongwe ke batho ba Ward 6 here, leadership. I'm sent by people from Ward 6, hence I'm going to read exactly what they said. I'm saying here. Mangau. All right, one the program, Ward 6, ke like it's informal consultation ilena. The first time in the day Floyd Shivambu na re ke ene metsi le metsani. Re utlwe na hore batho ba rona ba batla mokgatlo jwang if indeed Mayibuye will formally be a political party. Now, there were 3 important aspects that Ward 6 had raised under local level of governance and the provincial level of governance. The first one under a local level is township industrial zones. They said Mayibuye must focus on township industrial zones. Now, someone will ask themselves, what is a township industrial zones? So by we convert and use municipality land into community-owned micro-industrial parks that manufacture clothing, furniture, tools, and even green tech like solar panels. Now, why is it unique, this particular program? But it's a local government is typically focused only on service delivery, not production. Mayibuye Africa becomes the only party making township centers of production, not just voting stations, because most of political parties, they make our wards the voting banks or voting stations. Now Mayibuye will serve as a production force in our local municipality. The second point, they said that we must have a ward level people's assembly. Now what is a ward level people's assembly? They said there must be a monthly public forums where elected councillors must report to residents, and ward level budgets are debated and approved by the community. Why is it unique? They say that local government is typically, they say that this is through bottom-up democracy in action. No other party has implemented direct democracy at what level to this scale or commitment. Which means mona e ka Sesotho ba bua hore o tlamehile o be le lekgotla la diwad mo di makhanslara rona a tlo tshwarwang accountable, because re na le makhanslara na a acting as the celebrity once re ba electa ba khukele morao ho rona motho bile sa tswa le location la dulang lona kapa what ya dulang yona o lo dula toropong jwale ha sa ikamanya le mathata rona. Now if we have that particular assembly ke mo re tlo ba tshwarang accountable, re batlang ba report teng ba re bolele hore so far sa le ba dula le makhanslara, what did they do in their reign as councillors. Now the third point, which is the last point under local level, the People's Municipal Budget Watch. The people of Ward 6 said Mayibuye must train and support local community volunteers to monitor tenders, budgets, and service delivery contracts in every ward. While important, they said that this makes corruption extremely difficult and empowers citizens to be active watchdogs in their local government. Which means, Ward 6 iri, utamino bele batu be Mayibuye Africa ba trainang hore ba tsebetsa wang ba tsebo hlahloba bo di budget or no budget la sebediswa hantle le di tjhelete na di tsamaile hantle le tendera ha batho ba fuwa di tendera ana there were correct procedures tse latetsweng hore batho bano ba fuwa tender, because in our municipalities, especially here in Mangaunda Floyd Shivambu, there is no radicalism. Politics have died here. Our people are ignorant. Or Norman Waswana, Mehashwena Swana. Even some of the people I tried to recruit to Rebanaring, Bonotel said, "Man, I Waswana man." But now I believe, or this organization is very different. All right, I Swanili. Now under provincial level, we also have 3 points. A decolonized provincial health model. Address our indigenous ways or traditional ways of healing. They are no longer taken into consideration because now we are colonized and we are westernized. Now, Mona Klasa decolonized a provincial health model. They said Mayibuye must ensure that there is a new public health system that combines indigenous healing practices, mental health services, and preventive care with the formal medical system. Why is it unique? They said that no province has formalized indigenous knowledge into mainstream health. This reclaims African knowledge systems and makes health culturally relevant. All right, the second point is audit of colonial street names. Mayibuye must make sure that a public and historical audit of all provincial buildings, towns, and streets still carrying colonial or apartheid names and renaming them through democratic consultation. Why is it unique? Is it unique? But it is symbolically and legally restores dignity to communities, and no province has completed such an inclusive public renaming process. Mona ne babua ka hore re na le bo Peter Swarts la tseba ke re tla sema kana bo Peter Swarts Peter Swarts la motse ba ine le motho ana le kutsi ampe a bola batho hore now there must be a renaming of such street names le mabitso a dipla wa bona bo fail strat. Just imagine also na le a failed a dirty street, which means people they are dead, you see. All right, ke yona ntweno. The other point e ke batleng ke le bala mona ya ke ena ya provincial land audit to expropriation. Ba itse mona there must be a full scale land audit to identify who owns what land, how it was acquired, and to begin with the democratic process of land expropriation. Why is it unique? They say while national land reform is slow and political, this makes land justice a provincial responsibility backed by facts, audit, and law. Now they spoke about affordable electricity for the poor. They said Mayibuye must enforce a provincial policy that prevents electricity tariffs from rising above the poverty line. The public utilities like St. Lake, we are governed by St. Lake here. They said St. Lake must be subjected to performance audits and community oversight to ensure affordability. Because some of them are about counting these people. A month ago, if the whole 2 days, in ventilations and stuff. Those people never swear matat. The last point here is space. But affordable public transport fares. They spoke about affordable public transport fares. Under affordable public transport fares, they said that Mayibuye must create a provincial oversight framework to prevent bus fare increases that exceed poverty indexed thresholds. Target companies like interstate bus lines, which increase fares regularly, especially when students and workers are most vulnerable. This year, this month, they've increased their bus fares and it's unreasonable. Now, they said, why is it unique? Public transport affordability is ignored in most provincial policies. This approach protects the working class from transport-related poverty and holds transport monopolies accountable.
Re a leboga ka nnete ba emetse ka bokgabane ba ward 6 ba tla o leboga re mo he ha re tswa mo re ya mo re simolla mona re ya kwa a re tle le tsona
Khozombohle
ke
Katleho ko ke ho tswa Maokeng Moqhaka ko Fezile Dabi district mona
lebitso
Katleho Koki ke tswa ke le Moqhaka Maokeng mane ka tlasa Fezile Dabi district ha ke tlo buella di regions
a ko buele microphone
ha ke tlo buella di region ka of per region ke a akaretsa ha ke motho ha ka loka di politiki mare he Mayibuye itse ha e hlahella ka fila hore ke yona pleke ke batlang ho ba ho yona ha re bueng tjena kaofela rona mona re le batho ba tjena re na le dikelello re na le ditabatabelo re bone hore 31 years nyena ho etsaetseng ka rona hona le motho a batlang ho bula besaga kae kae hona le motho a batlang ho bula organization kae kae dintho tse kaofela ha tsona ha di phethahale ka tlasa government e re leng ka hare ho yona re le tjena re lekile hore re applyela funding re applyela eng but then the processes are getting difficult every single moment o le ka apply how le ka tshwara hona ho sona le something e hlaileng and then you submit whatever ba re ba we submit still out holding to e batla and then chingonyung wa hla somewhere matswante o sa ahile mall o sa ahile complex o sa ahile eng ona le eng nna ke sna yona ona le people we can le yona nna ke sna yona ke chelete ha rena yona chelete ha rena assistance ho tswa ho yona government ya rona so ke tsona dintho tse leng hore hona tjena o tlo mpha RDP house ke tlo e sustain ka eng RDP house eo ha ke batle RDP house pele ke batla ho etsa chelete pele so ke tsona ntho tse leng hore re tshepa hore Mayibuye ha re bua re batla ho hatela pele be re khona hore re kene ka hara ditabatabelo tsa batho kaofela as much as o ka batla ho sebeletsa setjhaba le wena o ntse o batla ho hola personally as much as o batla ho hola personally o ntse o tshwanetse ho hodise setjhaba matsoho a hlatswana mare he re morabe o le mong o sa tsebeng ho phamisana ha re le tjena re batho ba batso ha ntate mamang a le ka ho bula eng se re bona fela hore ho nyopile e emi 3 weeks business ya hae ka mora 3 weeks ha o sana next o kena merabeng e meng di muslim e bona maburuane re buang ka ona ba phamisana rona ha re phamisana government ya rona e teng mare e shebile bona hore ha re ka nna ra nontsha dimpa tsa rona ha re ka mpara nna ra nontsha dimpa tsa rona jwale ntho tse re di kopang hona tjena ko hore ha se ke ra buang ka sheko le re tseba le re recordile e be ba di archive tse sale di dula ntse di pakelana ke dust khutlelang ho rona ha re dule re tswa di area tse different potso ko hore na le tlo fihla neng Kronstadt le tlo fihla neng wherever mo eleng hore batho ba ka mona ba representa di pleke tsa bona Bloemfontein as it is ke a central point for everyone like President Mchunu fela re a mohloka hore a ska utlwela a ska bona dinepe wa tseba ha o ka hata ka ga lebala leo o tla utlwisisa hore na le foresight o lo ka lebala leo o tla utlwisisa go lebala leo le nonne ho lo ka mara ha re khone o jala mo because o tshwanetse o lo etsa soil sampling ha ona yona shelter soil sampling Department of Agriculture Department of this ha ba o thusi ba bolela hore ba tla o thusa neng ha wena so qadile ho ona le an idea but then ha ona that resource and that resource e one ke chelete right under the project tsa batho bana ba ga mona kaofela ke yona ntwe re kopang
re a leboga
ke nna le buile
re a leboga e tla mona microphone. They say in as much as people are promised RDP houses and other forms of housing, but our people at the end of the day needs to live. They need to sustain their lives. How do even though they have sustained those businesses. Re ka tswela pele.
Dumelang comrades, George. I am from there was a question. The question has arisen. Are we really need a movement, another political party? So the answer is yes, we need another political party. Why I'm saying this, comrades, I'm from the workers' politics. I'm from the trade unions. I was a former local secretary of NUMSA here. So in those workers' politics, Comrade Floyd, there is an onslaught against the workers. And then there is no vanguard party that can defend those workers in the working class. So we are saying Mayibuye must be a vehicle, Mayibuye must be a shield in order to come, because there is a lot of amendments of the laws. Department of Employment and Labor. So we want Mayibuye to come and, rescue us. Comrades, we are dying, please. Mayibuye!
Ya Afrika. Re a leboga, ha re tswele pele. O fe bomme ba bedi ba le ha o fetsa ka ntate. Ntate a re fetsa ka ntate.
Leadership, good day.
Ha re adimaneng ditsebe.
Leadership, good day.
Khotso ntate.
I'm so happy my presence to be here, particularly around the invitation. So what made me to come here is because of the invitation. The invitation was saying, I invite the professionals and entrepreneurs. I invite, okay, my name is Fusi, from Machabela. Machabi, Fusima Tloko from Machabi. So what made you to come to this invite is because of the invitation. The invitation was quite clear. I invite the professionals as well as the entrepreneurs. So, sorry? Check. Honali politique. On a le battu di business, baronari qui di politique. On a le battu di kireke, on di politique n'arrêté. So it's a problem. So we cannot reach any unity amongst ourselves. So the Mayibuye becomes important because we need to go back and try to unify the black people in terms of knowledge. So the problem that I've actually picked up as a person, the leadership that we have. Leadership is a problem. That's why Ntonglu is dysfunctional. Politically, but the leadership, they have no knowledge. Even they don't even know the politics. If you told that the Floyd I deliver a speech, okay, they said that he's a scientist in terms of the politics, but I could sense the scientist in the politics. But we don't get that thing from other political parties, especially Basotho. So we become impressed. We need a sound leadership. A sound leadership. A sound leadership that will be able to have a knowledge about how do we take in the professional people. Because there's a gap. Politicians demon, professionals demon. They haven't gone to school. There's no unity there amongst ourselves. So if we have a leadership, it's a leadership favor academically sharp. So influence other professionals and also the business people also. We need people. That's why business and economic research. Let us go and be politicians. You take a political power out because you don't know anything about the economy. Because rona Basotho ha re tsebe economy. Batho ba kgethuwang ba iswang ka pele ha ba tsebe di business, ha ba tsebe economy, nothing. So we need a leadership. Tse tlo kgona ho ba ha re kgethe leadership. Re base leadership into economy. That person must be good in terms of economy. Or check out the gap around here. But we cannot only focus but leadership, charisma or experience. Check traditional leadership, traditional leaders also. How do we get the information from those traditional leaders? And as a team. So problem we are too divided. We are too divided. Every person, politicians, they think that they know. Professionals, they think that they know. Entrepreneurs, they think that they know. When you are given certain tasks, there's no support. How not different the versions in terms of the issue. We are divided. Now, look at what happened now. Look what happened now. No China, South Africa, just imagine. It's a problem, a black problem. So problem. A church is a problem.
nna platform ke o mphile sa believe papa ke kopa o ntirela so se ke bua ka batho ba bomme ha ke bue ka ba ka eng kapa eng party ya gago ke tlo e supporta ha thing ba khona go itshwarela ka yone a ke re gale go tle di gale go di mbokoto re shotla bana re no peya bana o bana no yalla ke asaseng bana ba ka bana dijo ke heletse tla go se go ba tshwanise king ke khoto
Re a leboha.
foundation
Re a leboha. It's my women care of the
will be up the systems that speak to Africans and not in the way. So if TikTok is a because so that part well
Universitas. I'm the former branch chairperson of SASCO. I'm also a final year student at the University of the Free State. I'm also the former regional treasurer of SASCO in Mangaung. Now, Comrade Floyd, we know your involvement in the Progressive Youth Alliance, the PYA. Just yesterday, we returned from a national conference of SAUS, and we also know, Comrade Floyd, that that is one of the interventions that you conceptualized. Now, the current student formations in this country is not an alternative to, we need an alternative to the current student formations in this country. Black students are denied access to higher education every year on the basis that they don't have money to pay for registration fees. Many of them have outstanding fees, and many of them can't even pay for school fees. We know if you want to grow your economy through industrialization, TVET colleges are very important, but that sector is being collapsed by, of course, the government of the day and the management of those institutions. So when we go to the National Convention, Comrade Chair, there need to be a discussion for us to form a vehicle that will fight for free, quality, decolonized education. There need to be a discussion for a vehicle to take the fight for students in this country forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are still there. There's a hand right next to you. Yes. Thank you.
You guys must raise your hands, no? So that you can direct me.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Greetings to the leadership of the Mayibuye Consultation Process led by Comrade Floyd Shivambu, and greetings to the members of the community members of Free State. My name is Bitumelo Totezi from Medzimaholo, Dennisville, Ward 4. I'm a law student in the University of the Free State doing my third year. Comrade, National Convener, Comrade Floyd Shivambu, we are gathered here not because we are bored. We are gathered here because we want to expound the dialectical materialism and answer the question of Lenin of what is to be done. Comrade, National Convener, yes, we need a political party. We need a political party that is going to be the vanguard party and gather all the working class and the poorest of the people. Comrade, National Convener, the Mayibuye Consultation Process must be turned into a political party that is going to be in the forefront and champion the interests of the people. Comrade, National Convener, I want to reiterate your utterances when you said that there is no single municipality in the entire Free State province that is functioning. You are correct, Comrade Convener, to say that, because all these municipalities are led by families and all these comrades of the ANC. Comrade, National Convener, the Mayibuye Consultation Process, it is going to be the vehicle that is going to build a banner that we are going to follow as the young people for economic freedom in our lifetime. In my submission, Comrade Convener, let us build the political party that is going to advocate for the interests of the people of South Africa. Thank you very much.
Re a leboga. Re gona moo.
Good day, everyone. Amandla.
Away.
Mayibuye.
Africa.
This is what brought me here. Mayibuye, Africa. I've been waiting for this all my life. Now is the time for Mayibuye, Africa. My name is Mncedisi Martin in Ward 11, here in Mangaung. I am talking about Mayibuye, Africa, but I heard a lot of people are talking here. Most people are asking Mayibuye Consultation Process to do something. I once heard, I think he was an American, one leader once said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. I am here to offer my services to Mayibuye, Africa. I will talk also as a religious leader. I'm also a Christian. I'm also a bishop. That Archbishop Zondo, you were always my hero. I thank you for being here with us. What I will do, I will be here in the Free State, the one who opens with prayers when there is meetings for Mayibuye. I will also conduct all funerals for Mayibuye people here in the Free State. Not only funerals, marriages. I want to. What I want to do is fix the roads. Yeah. You know, all of us who live here in the townships, our vehicles, the suspensions are all finished. We cannot afford to buy these suspensions. I will fix the roads. And one of the things that damages our roads is the water. Simple water leaks. I will fix all the water leaks. And also our education system. I heard most of the young people talked about the education system. I'm going to change the education system. My children, in the schools where my children go to school, I am a community server there. I am the SGB. In one of the schools, I'm the chairperson of the SGB. The school where I'm the chairperson, when I started, they got, for the first time, over 90% pass rate, the matrix. I sleep with them when it's camp time, the matrix. And last year, they got 97% pass rate. So I'm going to fix the education system. We must teach our children to be able to create jobs, not to be job seekers. It's very sad to see doctors and all graduates marching on streets. Some of them marching with placards written, they want work. It is very sad. We will teach our children to create jobs. And there's many more I will do. But Mayibuye is going to happen. Africa is going to come back. Mayibuye.
Yeah, Africa.
Yeah, Africa.
Mayibuye.
I thank you.
Realebucha. What's still there? Pass the microphone. Thank you. Your name?
Good day, everyone. My name is Husiami Ranchobe from Ward 13. I'm also a student at the University of the Free State, currently doing my third year in the extended program of LLB.
Ward 13 where?
Ward 13 in Mangaung. There is a narrative that is being spread here in our city that unemployment is real, and I stand to dispute that claim because we observe individuals from other provinces successfully securing employment in this province. So with that being said, it goes to show that the challenge here is not unemployment, but rather a complex challenge related to, related to access to information. Whenever the jobs are available, the information should be accessible to everyone, even if it means like putting on boards broadcasting on TV, radio, like means have to be taken to make sure that the people or the residents of Bloemfontein, they know about the jobs that are available. So my second point is that there is an issue. It's also an national or international crisis, which is drug addiction. So I'd like to address that very much because where I come from, I see most of my friends, they devoted their lives to drugs. And one of the reasons is because not all of us were made for school. So whenever they drop out, they don't have anything to do, so they resort to drugs. So Mr. Floyd Shivambu, I would like you to at least establish skills development programs that will equip them with the necessary skills so that they can make it in life as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Tabiso Lala from Ward 49 in Mangaung, Kutabanju. I want to take this opportunity once more to thank the leadership under Comrade Floyd, Lay Archbishop Zondo, and the rest of the leadership. But special thanks to the owners of the land, the Khosi, the Khosi Khadi, the prince and the princess, the kings and the queens. Thank you very much. And I'm very happy that Prince Silukile is here. Why I'm saying that? Particularly because in the opening statement, Sir Comrade Shivambu said they had a meeting. Le Khosi Khababile Moroka. The leadership really bore. You see, I had an opportunity one day Kileka ya Mokere Kenya Maruti Zonda in Everton. Abala scripture says him, I think it was Marena, the kings in the Bible. Mo Mudimo ana are ho Samuel. Are Samuel. Tsamaya o e lapeng la Jesse o lo kgetha morena. Hobaneng nna ke le modimo ke tlile ho Saul. Saul yena tse le morapela yena. Ha isa le morena. Now I'm simply saying Mayibuye kena David. Saul le le ANC. Ha sa tshwere power. Now one of the things when leadership core there must be transparency mona mo Mayibuye. Comrade re bone tse ngata sa di gatekeeping. Re tswa kwana ha malome kwana to be where we are. Myself I was an organizer in these COSATU affiliated unions. We played our game there, our role to liberate the workers. In the speech, Sayana Comrade Floyd Uri, he becomes surprised. Why only voting station Zangata Maplasi. Comrades, by the time I was organizer, Renerea Moma Plasimo. Comrades, regular brilliant, who says Alama Plasimo and the Butloko. In terms of national minimum wage, this Maburuana did comply. You see, how was Antati? I'm sure Basic Condition of Employment Act is stipulated clearly to say how many hours you must be able to. Should you work overtime? What needs to happen? You see now. But Oto Tolara Maburu Ana Bapatala about 40,000 randa, 2,000 randa. So Kimo Mayibuye Etamele Ekineti. And I want to make an special appeal Horona Batwa Bagamona. If your intention is to join Mayibuye, you must understand one thing, or rather two things. In a movement, there are these people called leadership who are leading from front. But there are these who are very much more important, Papa leading from behind. So, those people who will for their own skills. Please, man, implement skills salona Mayibuye. And when I Comrade Floyd and the leadership, Muruti Zondo, I will appreciate man if we recognize something like labor desk, because if you there is a comrade it means my comrade ba labor. You see, so in other ways, these people who've got challenges, they must be able to battle more on. Renalbo me batlang from both kitchen. Bo me bele for now banally a serious problem. We can be able to reduce bo me ba. Earlier on kileka buata ba I'm happy that Mara. Kitole blela why. You see, there are structures within the traditional leadership or rather committees. Nakjo tabanchu. Mole ribusa ke khosi Khababulele Moroka ke marona o ke our queen tse ke buang ka tsona ke dife ke di structures tsa tsena tsa bo batho ba hlang mabollo ho be le di structures tsena tsa bo me bana ba makoma bantu ba dingaka tsa setso. You see, now we must never ever leave those sectors vulnerable or those people vulnerable. But what is whole? Meaning, those people, people believe for batla ho bua le bona, poor ever understand that. We know their challenges. Re bua le bona. You see, but unfortunately, we never batla a structure like this one. The Queen, she was right when she said, people have been coming to Tabanchu to bua selele sele. Mangaung Metro is full of corruption. You're not sure. Comrade Floyd, Mangaung Metro, you must put it in somewhere in your nose there, and you must address it. Mangaung Metro is the only metro in South Africa which is on the S9 rank. Kita ipeta ha. But problem fanteli tengamo. Ha ke le leshana le bu. Kiri Mangaung Municipal Metro, it is the only S9 taxi rank. Taxi rank in a demo by Kuala corruption. Now we are left with white elephant there. Bazamer Balatimo Tuano wa radio yan. Hore a forced but when about taxi owners and drivers, hore about taxi together. Comrade Floyd, the taxis I can take you now. We don't have a taxi rank because of corruption. And year after year, election after election, how many times we have a taxi rank? What's going on? You see, who's our owner? What's our name? Who can own? Who's our owner? You see, the number fits about how blame. You see now. So these are the things. The same time I chose when I want to comrade leadership. When I chose to get the VIP, get the pit latrine toilets, you know what is happening there? These comrades, when I was ANC, they will hire those, those Luriana to go and drain those things, Every time when there is an activity or maybe there is an elections, they will call these people from your province leadership, from Limpopo and Mpumalanga, to come and drain those toilets. They don't want those toilets to flush. Why? Because the corruption, why you are comrades? You see now. So we are saying when a leadership, Mayibuye is a good platform. And just to work well. Now I just saw your Twitter yesterday. Or not the resistance because now through COSATU processes and other things, we've been having our own things here. So now we are saying Tabanchi in a capacity leadership. Yeah, how they can create miracle. Mukutuzonde will know. Honale play to keep Ipol. Prince Slukle is here. Hopla. Hakelema Kotampelel. Tabanchi only trust 42. What is the trust when our leadership? The trust is the rural places whereby people are having their own ships there, their own cattle. They are also having Massimo. Now, we used to really memorial, then get those, your corns, your wheat and everything. We become self-sustainable, Tabanchi on its own, in the corner of Fepa, Free State and other parts. And a corner honka, the very same flour is a guan, free in the You see now. Now because we are in this administration, they've decided to now bank everything by a white elephant. Now I'm saying, let us utilize the skills that we are having, comrades. Let us go and speak sense and hope to the people based ke bile ka bona. I'm saying plekene enyane na. Next time ha re tlo tshwara meeting wa bontate ba bolotse. Plekene enyane na. We'll have mohlomodi hall tsa location. Not necessarily the drop. We don't need hotels, by the way. You see, whereby we can be able to engage these things properly. During that time, before Mandela took over, we used to come into Floyd, you know. Then we used to share. Then when we bear that breed, we used to share. Now there is this thing now, yeah, the VVVP, what VIPs, because now there is money involved. My prayer is, let us make sure, comrade, that is under what do you call? Gatekeeping. That thing is the dreams. Lelo intentions by etapele, you know, in regions, in branches, in everywhere. Please, man, allow other different views. You see, Lerona people who we are intending to create jobs. Space, man, because it's not about we want to be rich. Mayibuye is capable of creating jobs. Thank you.
Comrades, I'm going to finish off this line with the last two hands there. There's a WhatsApp line of Mayibuye Consultation Process where you can speak freely and you can write whatever concern or complaint that you want us to address when we formalize Mayibuye into a political movement. The WhatsApp line is 078-439-9052. 078-439-9052. If you are not satisfied with the time that you received in this consultation, you can always make your inputs there. Hariye, comrade.
Good afternoon. My name is Masungulo Ndlovu, but I'm currently located here in Bloemfontein as a student at the Central University of Technology. First and foremost, I would like to acknowledge and give thanks to the leadership of the Mayibuye Consultation Process for visiting us here in Free State. I would like to first make my sentiments by acknowledging the words of that gentleman who said that we are here not because we are bored, but we are here because we are concerned about this country, and we acknowledge that the present of this country. I am someone who normally maintains an ambiguity status when it comes to selecting political parties, because I know that most of them, they are nothing but sellouts. I have been someone who has been following the comrade, Brother Nico Shivambu, throughout his, should I say, political career from the ANC, EFF, MKP, and now today here at Mayibuye Consultation Process. The reason I have been doing this, it's because I perceive ANC, EFF, and also MKP as those political movements which has the ability, but somewhere, somehow, they are not taking up that responsibility. So since Comrade Floyd comes from these political parties, I perceive him as a person who has acquired enough knowledge and experience in terms of what needs to be done going forward. Now, the question is posed on us as to, is a political party necessary in order to deliver us from that expected promise? Now, in order to pose my questions, I'll first have to state the issue that personally troubles me, and that is the challenge of youth unemployment. Here at the Central University, I'm a student of agriculture, and possibly next year I'm expecting to go to work, but given the youth unemployment rate at plus 60%, I am quite concerned as to, is there any possibility that this issue of unemployment is going to be resolved any soon? So I am posing this question to the leadership here because I believe that most of you are quite capable to understand the complexities of this country, and to some extent you do know what is the solution to this problem. The second question that I have or concern is with respect to the challenge of immigration in this country. We know that the challenge of illegal immigration is making headlines almost each and every day. And given the history of ANC and the EFF, there is this ambiguity when it comes to where were these political parties standing when it comes to the challenge of illegal immigration. And most youth here, I'm sure they can agree with me when I say that one of the problems that gave EFF a challenge, it was when it comes to the challenge of open borders, the challenge of immigration. Why is it difficult for those leaders to have maybe a concrete answer as to should the borders be closed or opened? And if not, what should be the implication of this whole situation? So I pose this question to you as the leadership to give us a clarity as to if Mayibuye consultation process will result in a political party, where would it stand on this issue of immigration? Thirdly, I would like to understand from you as to how are you going to filter all these ideas and all these answers that are being posed by the volunteers of this process, because since you're going throughout South Africa asking people and they're giving you your answers, surely you're going to come up with a lot of answers and a lot of ideas. How are you as the leadership going to filter all these answers and put it into our best use? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The last hand, this side. There was a last hand, yes. When we move this side, I'm going to request that we start with our female comrades to make an input. So when I note hands, please do that, comrades. I will give each one an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Greetings, leadership, colleagues, and all protocol observed. Lina laka ki Khomotso Mashune. I'm from Tabancho sub-region, Mangaung regional. I'm from Ward 41, Ward 39, and Ward 40. I reside in all of them. Comrade convener spoke emphatically on the issue of not gatekeeping and this movement not turning into a cult personality movement. I would like to submit one of the ideas that we comrades were engaged on, of which is the notion of one member, one vote when it comes to selecting and electing leadership. Instead of the usual one of delegating leadership into conference. It might sound impossible when one thinks about it logistically. However, I would take an example from one of the biggest churches in South Africa, which is the Zion Christian Church. Each and every single year, they have an event where they all gather at a certain place without fail. And every member that is able to go there can go and freely participate in that event. That is why I'm saying it is even possible for Mayibuye to become one of those organizations that is distinguishable from other liberation organizations in South Africa. So that is my simple submission, that this movement can be truly a democratic movement where all inputs and aspirations of people are actualized by them voting for themselves, by themselves. Because everyone, as I'm listening, they wish this organization to be an organization for all of us, by all of us. That is my submission. Thank you very much.
Gents. Okay. Hi, Kaliki. Leadership fella. I'm just going to run through the points because I'm not going to try to support what I'm saying. I'm just going to say the issue here, maybe Hanseri Consult, the issue here, the workers, the unions. The unions. I think it's imperative that re utlwe di input tsa bona.
Re kopa lebitso ntate, maitshwarele go go tshwenya re kopa lebitso.
Jacob Tsumane, Ward 24 Mangaung.
Re a leboga. O ka tswela pe.
The workers le di federation if re ka gona re bue le tsona o kry di input tsa bona. I think it's important. Maybe different sectors as well, like your sector, education, safety and security, and others, health as well. Because sometimes, particularly in more health, but the clinic is for from 4 o'clock throughout the night. But to say maybe if you can check that as well. Ha Mayibuye modima ka thusa ya atleha ntate Zondo. Leadership issue at the industrial area zones. When you go to Botshabelo, you used to have a lot of the factories. When you go to Mokwasi, Northwest, a lot of factories, Hammanskral, lot of factories there. But today, they contribute towards unemployment. I think it's important when we do economic policy, Sarona, we should also look into that. Few and most of them let's check as well. Can we help those that can who will the victory center so that by employer to our leadership who normally assemblies before school scala or maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday we used to have assemblies. I think we need to reintroduce that because if you are having a political party or a movement that is not God-driven, God-centered, you're going to get lost, whether we like it or not. So I think let's look into that as well. We used to have sports facilities. On Wednesday, we used to play. That's where you used to get a lot of players that are today. So I think we need to look into that as well. Sports was so that Banabana Habasa keeping busy, maybe particularly on Wednesdays. I think it's important we should look into the issue of the sports facilities, because most of the sports facilities are women. So let's look into that. It's imperative leadership that we need to economically empower our own people. How do we do that? I think we can come up with a lot of other issues that can assist us in empowering that. Maybe we can also look into that as we come up with the economic policies and as to how we're going to go about in making sure that we take our people along. Maybe we can look into that as well. It's key because and then that's why whatever the case could be, if maybe as we go about look into that as well. Our own people are suffering because we are building the township, or the so-called township, away from their workplaces. There's a but how to sorry or phase 6 mara asebetsa Langhoven Park o palama taxi 4 or 5 before I fit them service salary high kaofela e fella transport ha itse nix ka yona o tloa ka 4 seng o fitla ka 10 bosiu bana ba hlokomela ba tsamaya crash, and these are the things that I think we need to look into as this political party it's a good conjoint. There are a lot of projects that are mushrooming all over by the government. Let's look into that. Why? Because there could be something that is happening there. I'm not saying is there anything, but I think we need to look into that. Or now the the millions, the billions into those projects. Are they really meant to be used for those projects? I think there's something that we can maybe ask our Narbonne, or how do we then make sure that we're holding people accountable in that regard? Our future generation, I am old. Okay, I'm going to close them. So I think because we
Iriki bakanya haba complain ka wena ne gona le modumo ka mo ne ke kopa gore re faneng ditsebe re khone go mamela re tla nna le chance ba botle go.
All right. Unemployment youth, they are the future leaders of this country. If we neglect them, I think we are driving this country into doldrums. So I think it's important that safety and security forums, I'm sure we can talk about that. We should be very careful as well as create a welfarist state. Say, but we're depending only on government. Because it's not only that the government wants to assist them. I suspect they are creating this condition because can you vote, then I'm going to come to you to say vote for me because go for something. And which is not right, because the grant, people need to get back-credit grants, not because you are a government, you are giving them, or a certain political party is giving them. I think they are entitled to that as well. The question is, should we form a political party or a movement? Big yes. It's important because Minister Shivambu and many, I'm sure the leadership here, they've learned a lot. And from that experience, we can take a lot of things that they have learned from their mistakes, whatever the case. Then we can, from that, make sure that we create a way forward so that
we can help our own people. It is important that we help our own people to achieve in our
like a government to hear. Marco. Yeah. Okay, I'm a pastor, I'm a community leader, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'll try to encompass all that, but I will resist the temptation to turn this into of Mayibuye. So yeah. They believe in this so much that they want to actually, they were hoping that I return with membership forms for them to fill. And they are saying that, the local government elections are around the corner. There's no, we need this to turn into a party. Mayibuye Africa Party map, which I think is a good name. So that we start set the ball rolling. And we hope we won't fall into temptations of what we've been hearing, the rhetoric from other parties that, when people deceive themselves and say, ours is a generational mission, we don't need to hurry to government. How are you going to change anything when you're not in government? Please, let's think properly. And Comrade Floyd, you've been leading the manifestos of the EFF last year. I was happy seeing you in Durban, Johannesburg, Sandton, everywhere. But I read all of it, 260 pages of it. There was just one mention of SMMEs in the entire document. How are we intending to create jobs and to turn around our economy when we are not intentional about empowering ourselves economically? And we cannot always be, much as our economy needs to transform, we cannot be criticizing the white establishment. They have done their part. That's why the whatever programs that we need to do. Yeah, in short, let me summarize it this way. If leadership, we can think of how are we going to help our people in their spirituality, Comrade Stephen Bafana Zondo, in their intellect, thanks to already the programs that have started, like your free education, the body health, how are we going to help our people health-wise? How are we going to help our people socially? For example, I stay in a new suburb of Hillside View. There is no park there. It's called human settlement, but all that is done is houses. When children have got to play, they put their stones in the road. When I come with a car, I've got to remove their rocks in order to get into my gate. So we need to be thinking around this thing. Sorry, how are we turning our communities, our townships, or our suburbs into real human settlement areas? There's no clinic there. There's no police station there. There's no school there where I'm staying. People have got to travel long distances to access these things. So, Mayibuye, could you please address such? I thank you.
Re a leboga. Re tsena mo line ye ka mo morago. Re a leboga.
Oh, sorry.
Dumelang.
Khotso mme.
Ke me Makgosi go tlhaga ko Botshabelo. Nna tlhobatsa boroko ka ke Ward 37. Ntate Floyd Shivambu.
Askisi mme ne ke kopa o bueletse lebitso hape.
Mme Makgosi.
Mme Makgosi.
Go tlhaga ko Botshabelo.
Re a leboga.
Ward 37. Ntlha ya pele ke ditsela. Re tsenela ke metsi mo dijareteng mo matlong. Ntlha ya bobedi ke di-toilet. Le di-dumping site ka locationeng go botlhaswa. Ha o ka wa leka go lwanela dilo tseo. Le dikolo tse di kgakala. Le mmereko ditiro ha di yo ntate. O letse ka matlo go ditiro di nne teng. Le tleliniki ya rona Ipua le police station le dikrishi ke mikhukhu ine dikrishi tse di bonagalang. Ke a leboga.
Thank you. Lebitso la ka ke Wagile Lebese ke tswa Machabeng Velcom. I was born in a farm in the northwest, but now ke Machabeng. Comrade Floyd, I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this call for about 10 years. In fact, the last time I spoke to you in Valcom, I said, "Get out." How long Freya to go somewhere, and I didn't come. But this time around, I knew it was the right time to come. Matataruna manzi, agina kwa Peter. But the main reason I came is because I wanted to be part of people who are going to come with solutions to all these problems. Tse re di diretsweng ke Maburu le tse rona re itiretseng tsona ka 94 ha re tsena re be re decide gore we wanted to be part of a system e leng gore ha ina go berekela motho montsho. It's a system e leng gore it's not designed to work for us, not even the judiciary system e re nang le yone, not anything. So as we work on those solutions, Comrade Floyd, and I was excited when you characterize it, the class character properly, because it's very important for me. And it's also very important because the first time I interacted with you was during YCL times, so I was going to be disappointed if I didn't hear that. Yeah. So, but there's one thing, Elengore, as we come with these solutions, we must remember, one, we've elected these people. We can't even act as if Rona we are not guilty. We are guilty for electing these people. We elected people who wanted to use common sense to drive this car. People who did not Bomatsaba Skolo, not Bomatsaba Skolo in the sense of going to get grade 1 to degree, but Bomatsaba Skolo in terms of huikapesa ka literature dirang gore o itse o tlisise sentle gore direction ya koloi yo e drivang ke efeng. Hence it's important gore re utlwisise the class character, re utlwisise gore who is actually our enemy, because ke raise mo TV ke sheba be ke tshega go bua 3 different leaders, omong abitsa omong enemy, omong abitsa omong enemy, not realizing gore actually who is our enemy. And as you go to Mayibuye Africa, then it reminds us exactly ke eng e dirileng gore re start re bana le struggle, ke eng e dirileng gore re be le struggle. But there are other dangers tse re sa di bone. The minute we move towards dismantling this system, is the minute 1, 2, 3 of us gets targeted by the cartel that wants to keep the system. Comrade Floyd, agina magala one day kuka uthi bantu bawulelekisa Limpopo baro moloi. Not because they think moloi, but simply because somebody goes out to plant something in order to destabilize you from getting towards dismantling this house. So as we do that, we must not be naive. That is why the phones are not. We are still in the Free State. This is not here, but this is still the Free State. The one reason most of the phones are ringing here is because some of us work in government, some of us work in municipalities, and already people are phoning, wanting to know where you are. Despite the fact that you gave them a leave form yesterday, now why do they want to know where you are today? So I'm saying they are going to come with all sorts of things. So we need to be ready for that. We need to be ready for that. They are going to paint our leadership in all sorts of ways. We need to be ready. We need to be ready like some of the best spokespersons that I remember. One spokesperson who had the most difficult job of being a spokesperson is Floyd Shivambu during his youth league days. Julius. Today is something, tomorrow is something. You have to go utimemul. So we need to make sure that we train our soldiers. We need to make sure that our soldiers understand that the fight that is on the industry in many ways. It is important that as a team and all of us should have that understanding, not to only see something that is here, because remember we are going to try to destabilize the status quo, not only people who are in government but the system as a whole. And as you do that, you know, you are no longer only a problem or an enemy, AfriForum, capital. You are a problem of everybody, because other people in black parties, baboni somebody billionaire, so they know hanga kena fela. That is why they have a government of national unity, simply because so comrades, it's very important that we do that. And as we do that, it's also important that we teach our kids to properly understand the battle that we are in. I wish, I'm happy that religious leaders are here. I wish that they can teach us the wisdom of making sure that we understand our enemy and making sure that how we should arm ourselves to defeat the enemy. So, Chair, I've been ready for 10 years. There was not a proper vehicle. I said to Comrade Floyd, I'm coming. 10 years ago, I didn't come because it was not a proper platform. But now we are here, and like Ndada Bwile, we are ready to serve. Thank you.
We are here now. Thank you very much.
Mayibuye.
Yeah, Africa.
Africa.
Mayibuye.
Comrades, nali bitolaka ke Rasibuti Mokwa. I'm from Machabeng, Ward 31. Welcome. You know, comrades, as we are standing here together, I can redefine it. We are the victims of failed promise. So, you know, Comrade Floyd Haketa narrate a revolution and the struggle that was pursued up to this point where we are. We fit very much well into that explanation that we are a nation, victims of failed promises. Comrades, Comrade Shivambu get our present a fellow mo. Neswatu fela riente a very howling word hearing yes, because the question was, are we ready for another political party? But this one is called movement. Movement, it means revolution is people, and people makes history in their lives. We persevered 31 years after our freedom, 1994. 31 years up to today. But instead of things getting better, they're getting worse. Now, you know, when Mayibuye was actually announced to be a process of consultations, some of us, we had to think very deep and hard. We have never been into any political parties except the ANC. But ultimately you have to take a decision, conscious decision, that it is no longer the one that we belong to. But the very situation there have been so many breakaways since 1994. There have been so many political parties. And most of us gathering here who have been to some of those political parties. And we have observed that we are not into a train that is taking us somewhere. The next station, but the advice is, as and when we agree to establish a movement, please, comrades, let us not bring those tendencies. Re tlo divide this new venture e re leng go yona. Ha re ikukeng re le batho ba batjha ba tlang kerekeng go tlo pholoswa dibeng tse ne re le go tsona. Now this movement, I would be deeply hurt if you can go fela ore it is now factionalism that is taking place in here. There is gatekeeping that is taking place here. There are dishonest people that will be deployed because we are about to contest the next local government elections. And let us not see the next local government elections as a vehicle for keeping unemployment for us. Because all of us here, this process, I don't think there will be another process of consultation in the Free State. From here, we will be having the leadership that will be taking this organization to the next level. We know very much who wish to be part of this process. But they are not here. So let us represent them well. And let's go back, give them a proper report that we went there, we had the message, we are now existing. It cannot be corrected that we gather only here when there is a national leadership. We must embark on our own program of growing this movement. We must have our own meetings in our own areas. And we must continuously report about the development. You cannot be here and represent your own jacket. You can't be here and go back, put everything information into a shelf. Everybody is eager to know what was happening there in Mangaung, in Bloemfontein. So let it be our responsibility to spread this gospel. Many people are coming. And it cannot be correct because you fought with somebody in the ANC and this person is now interested, you want to get keep. I don't want him here. I had a big fight with him in the ANC. I had a big fight with him in the EFF. I had a big fight with him. There are people who shows interest because they want to see all of us progressing, not any individual. So my contribution will be that it is difficult to speak after so many people have spoken, because you'll be tempted to repeat what has been said before. But I'm saying, let this movement be different from other entities that have existed before. So, Comrade Floyd, let us not be convinced by the numbers. You know, people, when they see an opportunity of being elected, they mobilize more numbers for them to emerge and marginalize or close behind great minds that can contribute. So we must not have a desire to lead when we know exactly we don't have that capability or potential to lead and take all of us to the dust. So let's rather identify people who will be able to lead this organization. And when you avail yourself, you are availing yourself with everything necessary. You cannot be availing yourself when you are sent to a particular area. You then start complaining about the resources, the petrol, the what, the means to get there. It is our collective responsibility. Resources or no resources. Thank you very much.
Can you pass the mic to the comrade here next to the camera? Thank you.
Dumelang. Ka lebitso ke a be Jusulogeng. Ke modudi wa Mangau ward ke 13 or ke 14. Ne ke tlo tletleba ka taba ya Swiris. Mo jarete mo lona le Swirisi ha e tswa e tlala ka jarete e kena mo di toilet e kena ka di next door tsa batho. Hona le stipi ka pelo jarete, hona le kana ba ipitsa e metsi ha tsamaya mo fly kena yona. E gate ko everything di awe mo plekeng e one. O tshwantse kene ka kolo mo jareteng a o khone o kena. Tshwantse lo hila ka site ya motho o lo tlo kena so ha e drawa ke bana tshwantse ba ise strateng na ke tlo kena ke ikenye mo jareteng. So le taba ya safety ko Bloemfontein a sa le safe at all. Ha o sa le monate ko re le motho na bua taba ya taxi rank. Central Park a start e diriwa. Go no bereka batho ba Bloemfontein ba rekisa bo di vege bo di but no ha ba sa le ko le ha o tsama bosigo mo batho ba di vege ha o sa le safe because a sa le batho ba Bloemfontein. Di bothi ha ba batho ba Bloemfontein ba botswa di saloon a re sana di saloon ne re dira di saloon gona na kwa pele maritsa ba bulela batho ba batle ka South ka Bloemfontein ka South Africa ya ba di saloon tsa gona di a kwala di shopo di kwetswe di tseile ke batho ba di tseile ma jwang kontle no ke motho wa business ha e sale ke tabo ga ke batla black jaka o sisimolana re o gopole o thuse ka bo mme ba dirang ka mosebetsi ya majoro ona re batho ba mesebetsi ya majoro ne ke go kela le mme wa ka le sister wa ka dikolo uniform itse ha batla ya ba gona ga tlusiwe because re ba khiba Bloemfontein maybe ba rentsi di jojo because bona ke re bana di tšhelete ha batla ba ntsha di jojo so ya ba di business ta gona le gona di a ema so ke ntho tse re llang ka tsone bo mme ga re batla tswello pele like mana buo ga manete ke tle ke ba bone bo sisi mo ba tsana mo di taverneng ngwana o mo putswa ha kwala ditlhako walla kana go tso mma go tswa la tapen ntho sasa ya gage o tagilwe o dirile di makeup ngwana ha na ditlhako ngwana ha na ntho a ejang ha etsa the following o tla mo go wena wana tshwantse o thuse so a se life e monate e wena o le motho o mongwe tlo e thabelang so ne re kopa at least le bo mme ba thuswe le bontate le bone mantse ba blame because le bona ba safe ha o sana motho o safe kontle ditiro ha dio bana ba gona ba khone wa dikolong o ntse o the NSFAS e patale ngwana o tla ba a ya ha o santsane ngwana a lo tshwantse a tlo heleletsa go the ha patala school fees. NSFAS ha ya patala yona because ngwana o ntse ya sekolo. So ngwana ke le yena o khatilwe ka tsela ya lo thuntsa sa patala ma ona ntse patala ke NSFAS. So ke re kopa thusho. Nna ke tle mo ke sa itse go ke ne ke tla ka ya sefapano.
Re a leboga. Yes. Re tla khutlela ho wena.
A re dumedise leadership Mr Floyd. A buang ke Tyrone Mataung.
A re buele ka microphone.
A buang ke Tyrone from Sasolburg, Metsimaholo. Mr Floyd le moifo wa hao. I just wanna ke toba mo khutshwane ya.
Ya re be ba khutshwane hobane ke tlong ka matsogo a i4 a bofello be re tswalla ki introduce WhatsApp line ya rona ha re simolla. So a re be ba khutshwane.
All right. I just want to know how are you going to align this movement the lead forum ko Sasol. The forum to the unemployment. Because I feel like most of the political parties have failed to align themselves the unemployment forum. I'm one of the forum leaders. I want to know letlo etsa ka mogwa wa tsela efeng hore e sebetse because re na le di forum tse 28 ka Sasol, maybe even more, 28 unemployment forums. Because re bona hore most of the political parties hai batle ho ibatahanya le rona. Re thola hore corruption e hlile e bangatanyana, especially when it comes to ntho tsa mosebetsi whereby batho ba rekisa mesebetsi. And then when o try tsa hore we raise abo maspaleng ke tse le reng keng ha dinkelwe koptu. I think re dutse hangata le di mayor tse fapaneng, but I feel like into around the same the same room. So ne re kopa this movement o ebe movement wa batho le tse di foramong ke mo setšhaba se leng teng ke mo batjha ba leng teng batjha ba mono uka ketapele tse ngata di bua di re mosebetsi ha yo, but from where I'm sitting the stakeholders tse nna ke dulang ho tsona mosebetsi o mongata just fela ntho ya gatekeeping e ntse bua mo ke yona e iphile mala because the request di ya tswa ha batho ba tlamehile ba ye mosebetsing ene tse ding tsa dintho tse di etswa ke di service providers. So because masipala tsa rona ha di batle ho nka action like e tshwe ke re la o ya o bona di turn a blind eye. So re kopa this movement e be movement o lo renkeng o tlo thusa ntho tsa mfuta o jwalo. Another thing ke the project tse tla makeisheneng I think it's all everywhere into whereby for example tata ntho tsa di Wi-Fi o tlo etsa paving ho thwe this thing tlamehile ka le counseling. So ntho ya system ya council e tlamehile is scrapuwe because once ya council ga tseba go e tlo fuwa ntho ma communist ga e tseba ka ofela go e tlo fuwa mako ha eno fihla ho batho. So go kopa that type of system is scrapuwe. Ke kopa ho fella monana ke be mogusane gone fa ba bang chance. Thank you.
Re a leboga. Ke tlo kopa hore re bue 1 minute each. Ke batla lo fa chance but problem ke hore re ba ba telele 1 minute each. Ha re bueng hona ona mo mo huntate mo yes 1 minute ke tlo count ya tsa ma minute
dumelang
khotsontate
ke Thaba Mafatle from Lejoloputso Matjhabeng wa 12 ke nako ya hore re be le ona mogahlo o motjha ka South Africa haholo a re sheba male ona male Lejoloputso di stakeholders tse ka ra Lejoloputso tsa mine di keteletse di reteletse ka baka la mogahlo ona o rulang ho e leng hore do unemployment e bangata. Now We need people and movement that will challenge the Constitution of South Africa. We need the movement that will challenge the policies and implement those policies. But mine. That mining charter, if Guedemandache I chinchilling, I am intiling, a benefit those political parties, the members of the ANC, whereby backwards the mining, but about in 5 years' time, harmonica between South Africa. Kiborabatonka the mine it and those mines, kitty reserves, it's about ordinary lithium. So by protecting the country, so we need a political party that is going to stand up for the people of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's keep the time, comrades. 1 minute.
Okay, thank you very much. Protocol observed. My name is Tapelo Sidiane from Ward 13, Bloemfontein. The question was posed, if can we establish a political movement? Mine is that Comrade Shivambu, yes, we are ready to hit the ground. And kitlokopa my leadership hore how after this meeting, because an idle mind is the devil's ground. Saloon, if you go to a club now, if you everything leadership now we are going to say that now thank you very much.
Comrades, 1 minute each.
Mr. Floyd, hello. I just want to say 60% of us have noticed we've moved away from consultation process, the name consultation process. We either saying what you either want to hear or what you've already heard. What's happening is I'm going to be selfish and talk for the youth. Ask you what to our What's happening?
Only 1 minute.
Yes.
You've got 1 minute only.
So what's happening is, let's not move away from consultation process. The question is, do we need a political party? After 30 years hot money, the answer is no. We need a movement. I applaud you for opting for a movement. But now we need a miracle. When I say miracle, it's going to sound impossible that we can reach a miracle. We need a movement that aims that high. So we don't want a movement that says, I'm just going to go there and compete against GNU, ANC, whatever. Because once you get there, you're going to forget all of us. I just want to give one test to you. There is something that's called empowerment programs. It's AMA, EPWP programs, those stuff. The outcome of that program, it's just that you are on a 3,000 per month, 2-year vacation. You don't come back with any qualification. You don't come back with whatsoever. You come back as I don't want to say depressed. You come back as you were on a vacation for 2 years. Knock on the doors, cancel these programs, rather swap the programs with maybe bursaries. You know, if Mayibuye gave me qualifications, instead of the 3,000 that I barely remember what I did with it, I want to speak for longer. I'll go to the WhatsApp group Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
The WhatsApp number is 078-439-9052. 1 minute each, comrades. Who are there? 1 minute. It's moving.
Hello. Thank you to everyone and greetings. Greeting to Comrade Floyd. My name is Ntokozo Mzobe from Ward 4 here in Mangaung. Comrade Floyd, we've been having a problem for 31 years since ANC took power. I'm a member of African National Congress, by the way, but it is important that we also come to this consultation. We've been having a problem of producing black arrogant leaders for the past 31 years, ever since we took power from apartheid, ever since our people got to government. They've been very arrogant towards the very same people who are putting them in positions of power. ANC today, it is dying because as a result of that. They are arrogant and people have been trying to warn them and they do not listen. That's why they are where they are. Even today, when the Secretary General of ANC, Fikile Mbalula, talks, he is still arrogant. He keeps saying the center must hold. How can the center hold while they are arrogant? The entire National Executive Committee is arrogant. You go to the economic freedom fighters. Julius Malema is arrogant towards the people. He does not listen to the people. He wants to tell the people instead of listening to the people. So we've got that problem regarding our people, Comrade Floyd. They don't listen to the people at all. You go to Umkhonto weSizwe, it is the same problem. They don't listen. There are people in Umkhonto weSizwe who feel they are entitled there because they are fathers, they are in charge there. They can say whatever they want to say. No one will ever hold them accountable. They can tweet in the middle of the night and say whatever they want to say, fuck you leadership, and say, because they know tomorrow there's no one who will hold them accountable for that.
Thank you, Comrade Mzobe. Thank you, Comrade Mzobe. Let's pass the microphone. Comrades, let's be orderly. 1 minute.
Thanks. One thing for me, my name is Tsepos, the name is Ditejani. One thing for me, you know, in order... Northwest, I couldn't wait. One thing for me that is very critical, membership. You know, in order for us to have, I think we miss the point of quality membership. For you, if you have quality membership, you have quality leadership. And amongst everything, we have followers. If you own Facebook, if you have Facebook, you have followers who are watching what you are saying, even though they don't comment. We need to maintain that. That speaks to leadership. What you are saying on Facebook, they are watching it. Integrity, value, quality. So I'm saying, can't we, even if we decide to form a movement or a political party, if we can take care of this, if we can have a manual usmabatu, it doesn't have to be 20 pages to say, this is our membership, quality membership. These are people who attend meetings without being collected from homes to come to meetings. Who knows, they have followers. Can't we have, if a subscription is 20 rand, why can't we say followers pay 5 rand? So that they can influence this membership to come to meetings, and when the branches make decisions, it's quality. Because challenges are, you have membership who lapses because the secretary is sleeping on the job. I mean, if 6 months towards the membership lapsing, why can't the secretary, I'm saying that's quality leadership. I should be able to say, my 100 people renew your membership 6 months before they lapse.
Thank you.
That's quality leadership. Thanks.
Thank you.
Lebitswa ke Ikageng Sekgabisa originally from Ward 40 in Tabanchu, in Bloemfontein, now Mandela View. I don't know the ward name or number. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think Ndate Floyd, speaking to you directly, we do not look at economic imperatives. Ha re bua ka bringing back whatever it is that we lost. For an example, during President Thabo Mbeki's years, unemployment was around 20%. It has risen to 35, 36 or 40. Whoever you listen to will tell you something different. And it's because of what? There are critical indicators that will talk to why we have such high unemployment rate. Number one, our institutions have collapsed. We are not talking about institutions here. Number two, when you look at what our kids are being fed as basic education, you will cry. There's no education. Just last week, they were saying we opt out of robotics and coding. Why? Because they cannot read. What have they been doing for 31 years? What is basic education if people in grade 1, 2, 3, and 4 cannot read? So essentially, when you look at, just finalizing, when you look at Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland, especially Finland, with their socialistically grounded economy. And then you also look at Singapore and China, and also to some extent Vietnam. You know what the answer is out of this quagmire of unemployment. We just need to be factual and straight to the point. We need to look at economic indicators and lead from there. Thank you.
Thank you. 1 minute.
Le guy, naka lebitso ke Mayibuye ke tswa Ward 4 Mafube. Date Floyd, batho ba Mafube ba itse ko hlalosetsa hore nnete ba dumela hore ha o be le mokgatlo wa dipolotiko ba nteng. Jwale ho bontsha nnete hore ba ya dumela ba itse ha ke tswe ka ra kopano ye ke sa ba tshwarela di forum tse tshong hore ba ready ho joina e be di volunteers. Mara ba re fear ya bona e re tlo kopa re ilukise is ka ba matter wa the animal farm. Mo ile horeng all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. In terms of discipline, ska thola la hore ka usane this organization e re dumelang hore e be teng e gauile dikotwana ka baka la discipline. Ha re bona ntate ka mona ha punish ha discipline hantle because wa shejwa hore ke mang. And then ha etla ka ho nna organization e ba hash ba itse re ka sheba fela ntho tseno ba kopa re ke tsamaya meeting no ke tshwere di forum. Ke a lebo.
Ka lebitso ke Molefi Kgonyedi ke tswa Ward 3 Mothaka. Ne kopa tshwaela fela ka nthonyana tse pedi tse tharo. Ya pele ke I want to applaud Comrade Floyd hore the baby o la etsa le all of us ka 2013 was ka create a rupture. Because at some point and we still going to need them. We can never attain economic freedom if as a collective I served as a PCT member, the first PCT member in the Free State. And these are my observations. If this organization is different from all other organizations, these are the matters that we are taking care of. Number one, everyone joins an organization because of our added value. So it means every viewer, every member must be taken into account. A video on the floor, a person must be able to be given an opportunity to raise the views. Number two, we must have strict policy discouraging factionalism. We need to deal with factionalism because organizations are wholly obane ona le ntwe ne bitso factionalism. So o tshwanetse re deal le yona at the best way possible we can. Are creating a policy to deal with that. Number three, effective way to deal with issues relating to concerns or complaints of members. Ne re thola from organization e re tswang ho yona ha batho ba na le a view ba na le problem within a ward or a region ho ngolwa mangolo but nobody attends to it, so we need to have a particular structure se dilang le how effective we can deal with complaints. Number three, political induction. every member must be exposed to political education, because that's the only way we'll be able to grow. I can't just go to my neighbor, I must be able to induct that particular member. So a vigorous program in what level? Maybe once a month, but to join in that particular month. By induct political. And then number, we don't need aloof leadership. This consultation, how join an organization, even that highest leadership, a banal program. This month, at least on one day, we dedicate this month to go and visit the structure staff free state. Next month, we go and visit structure staff at Cape Town, or whatever the case may be. We need to go to people at all times. It can't be hore hare kala re thola di powers re ya kwana mo national re se as legislatures members jala re sa tla mona ke yona problem e utlwisang batho bohloko e. Thank you.
Comrades, 1 minute.
I'll come after you.
Sure. I Kamalam Ngumbulelo Mongo.
1 minute.
I'm not sure if I'm here by default or design. My friend here just hijacked me. I was now selling stuff here. Like the question of should we start another political thing, I really deadly believe that starting another political thing or another movement, is this the movement that we need, or is this the political party that we need, or we just maybe need an awakening? Here we are now, we are somehow handing over the power to someone or to some party that we think it must deliver us from the turmoils. We are confused and we are disturbed, we are attacked in different sides, and now we think, hey, these are the people that will really help us now here. It's not about now starting.
You've got 30 seconds now.
It's not about starting another thing, but it's about really awakening to ourselves. Because we are attacking ourselves even here in this level. Now, how much more now when there's another party or somebody who's leading us now to somewhere? And you can attack him. Like the guy now saying that these people are arrogant. They are arrogant because they know that their being power is not by you voting for them. Their being power is because it's a system that rules. Yeah. Everything that we build, there's already a foundation here. Is now this leader or this political thing or this movement, will it attack that system? Or is it just going to build on top of that system? We're talking about schools and education system that is now falling. We are crying. We are building upon that which is already built. So there's then no help.
Speak, my brother.
So now we are handing our power to you. Redeem us. Redeem us. Now we're going to lay low, because now we have now the leaders. So Mr. Shivambu, now we are surrendering the power now to be led.
Yeah.
We need to awaken in this room. Individually, it's not a thing that will be organized. It must just happen to the individuals. I think that's the way out. Otherwise, we're going to continue to build. Like you talk about these parties that they were formed. They built on the foundation that was already there. They all disappeared. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm not really being negative, but I'm saying these are the very fundamentals.
Yeah. Thank you.
We need to wake up.
Tell the people the truth. Tell the people the truth. Tell the people the truth.
Chair, let's continue.
Let me stand here. As I'm standing here, you can see I'm wearing overalls. As I'm wearing overalls, it means I'm part of the working class. Push me, I will talk. I didn't know, my brother, you should have not associated with me, because in such matters, it's sometimes difficult to really stand for the truth.
Tell us who you are, where you come from, please.
Thank you, my sister. I almost forgot that. Excitement.
It's because you are starting with wrong things of singing. Let's go straight to the point.
It's a boy big in my big into an 051 Blom's finest hustler. Kapatina hinja game jama Valentine nice. I go by many names. Blom's Finest Hustler, and now initially the new name is AKA the Gatekeeper. Coming for all the gatekeepers.
O tswa ko kae ntate lebitso ke mang? O tswa ko kae?
I am coming from, yes, I came with something different this time. I am Bonyekile Novas. I am coming from the People United Movement for Economical Change and Transformation. It's a youth-led movement that has been here in Bloemfontein for a very long time. It just needed action, and it just needed us to see what's happening. We have came upon analysis that both from the People United Movement and the economical change, that there's a system that is happening here that a lot of people are not aware of. This information that I'm giving out, I am glad that it's on air. But there is this thing that come close to election, the people must suffer so that the people may vote. So the truth may stay hidden as they are hungry. And I must say to all leaders, as you have brought us here, we have came in faith and good faith to know that you will serve the people. But a hungry man is an angry mob. Tell the people the truth. Mr. Shivambu, I took a list of all the things that you mentioned. And I believe that maybe we'll have enough time as this side was given. But it's not like that. So I will say for the movement that will be a political party if it becomes one, for it to have a proper structure, it is put according to levels. And the time now is the time for the youth to lead. The people and the voices that you should hear the most and hear for a very long time is the youth. Because the more the old speak for a very long time, the more attention spent fails. With my question, I've had many questions going to when Tate Shivambu mentioned that there were historical leaders such as Walter Sisulu, Steve Biko, and so forth that failed in the movement. I was confused a bit, but in my sense it was to ask, what is my leader speaking about? It is true, because that they have taught have been missed along the lines. As I stand here, I shall express and quote the words of Steve Biko. No fear expressed. I fear no one. Whether they have money, whether they have people, that they buy alcohol.
As we conclude.
As we conclude, Ntate Shivambu, I believe that you have came from many organizations and therefore it gives you a high credentials to be the leader of this movement. You have came from the ANC, you have came from the EFF, you came from, now that we see that the exposure of where maybe the nepotism could have came from, Mkhonto Wesizwe. We believe maybe this thing of our people's parties now being given the narrative that is being given due to social media. What does it mean? Is there hope for the black community? Or is it time for the black community to really come together, besides their difference, to really serve one purpose that the GNU is failing right now? And that purpose is the definition of what we call political language. I hear many say there's a lot of political language, but to me there's only one. And that language is service delivery. Delivering to the people at utmost quality and giving them all their needs. The number one need right now, Tate Floyd, is unemployment is a disease within our nation. What solution do you have for us today? Is it just to listen to us, or is it to live with more than 50 youth that is sitting here without unemployment, to see that indeed, Mayibuye Africa, so that we as the youth that is fighting on the ground, we may have support from the youth that is earning something. As of this year, as I am a working class, I believe that with the cadre deployment, it's a cadre deployment meant for soldiers to fight that has turned into nepotism. The nepotism side, it is with the mental slavery.
Thank you, comrade. Thank you, comrade.
Aluta continua.
Thank you very much, comrades, for having participated.
The last one, Tate Floyd Shivambu.
Can we have the microphone? Can I give this young man a microphone? Yeah, yes. Can you be orderly, young man, and let's just be brief.
Leadership, or to save time, all protocol observed. Naga libito ke lagato khatati, ke tla tlokolene ward 9. I'm speaking as a young teacher ne. Moetapele la bua ka crisis e tsalang education. Ke posa ho lona baetapele ba tla. In light of South Africa's ongoing basic education crisis, including overcrowded classrooms, ufumana di public school bana ba ma 50. Di textbook di a shorta. How bua ka tsona bo di robotics. Ki a very promising subject e loring e ka re thusa. But ufumana re na le bo laptop tse 2. Bana they have to code. You have to assess the learners. Ki eng e tlotla le re thusa ka yona ene. How long is it going to take for Mayibuye or e re thuse? Specifically for education, basic education, because all political parties ha di bua ba bua ka higher education. Ha wana more basic education. E kenyang teng. Pass rate ke 30%. O sheba bana ha o ntse ba tshwaya. Ha o fa ngwana script o mo fa script o re 32%. Ngwana o thaba as if o thotse degree. Come to reality. University, ha ona university e tlo monka. Le college ya mo dauta. Ke eng e le tlotla le water le empower basic education hore le rona re be fashionable country. Jwale ka tseding. Ke a leboha.
Ke a leboha. The last one here on this row here. And then the last hand there. Comrades, these two are the last hands. It's number 1, number 2. Can we be orderly? Thank you, comrades. Let's be brief. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, for this opportunity. First of all, okay, my name is Tyson. I am a resident here in Mangaung. I come from Ward 3. And I just want to commend Comrade Floyd for this great initiative of the consultative processes. This is one of its kind ever in South Africa. It has never happened anywhere in South Africa. This is a great one, where a leader wants to go and listen to the citizens of South Africa before leading them. And I just also want to commend you for your persistence of working, given the conditions of our current affairs in South Africa currently, but you continue with these consultative processes. That's a great job as well. One thing that I believe the country needs to know about Comrade Floyd is that you have been a brain of many machines, and without a doubt, you definitely will give us quality leadership. And I remember one time I had told my friend that I wanted to join the EFF, but I only waited for a time for you to be the president of that movement. And I stopped voting since 2017 till to date. Now, I just want us to get into this one. Just now, we are about to have a national dialogue, which is going to cost us about almost 1 billion for these consultative processes. And we know that it's not going to materialize at all. We just hope, and we know actually that with the Mayibuye, we definitely are going to get some work. I hope it's not going to be these process of consultativeness and without any solid outcomes coming from it. Number one, this is what I need to find out, the prioritizations of South Africans. I don't think currently we need a political party, a new political party, given that we have over 350 political parties in South Africa. But given the state of our current affairs in South Africa, I believe that we indeed need a movement that's going to help us. And this movement should be one as well that is not like a comrade has mentioned there, that should not be an arrogant one. Let's have a movement that will be a home to other progressive movements as well, so that we become one. Let us try to swallow as much as possible of these other movements for them to come into this one. I noticed when you tried to do that when you were still in the EFF, trying to swallow all these, I mean in the MK, trying to swallow all these other political parties for us to move as one Africans, but clearly that one did not materialize. Also, I need for us, Comrade Floyd, to detangle the minds of South Africans from being dependent on being fought for. Every time the South Africans are dependent on being fought for. We can have, can we have it please in your manifesto, maybe the ways of empowering South Africans financially besides the agricultural sector, because it is given that it is now a motion that we are supposed to all be farmers for us to be liberated financially. Can you come up with ways in your manifesto of us moving away from that notion of us being in agricultural sector only? Also, the basic education, like the fellow comrade has mentioned right over there, is a big disaster. We need to hear in your manifesto as well, what are the plans that you guys have? And the other one is with the local government. Can we see a prioritization coming from you guys for the local government? May we have also a clear indication of how will the NEC make a follow-up on service delivery that is meant for the ordinary South Africans? Every time we hear people speak that we were going to deliver, as you are hearing here, people are talking about sewerages almost in every street. Now, we want to hear, what is it? What's a plan for that? That's a very solid plan for that matter. And then last one, are we going to have a cadre deployment as well, based on favoritism, or is it going to be based on merit? The reason why I'm asking this is because we just want to see performance. We've been having cadre deployment based on favoritism with people who are not even qualified to do the job. Hence, we see the state deteriorating the way it is today, because you find someone who's deployed in a ministry and the person literally knows nothing about it, or this person, the last time they went to school was when they were in grade 2, comrade. So may we please also hear on that one, what is the criteria of the prioritization? Thank you very much.
The last one.
Ke lebohe leadership. Bitso la ka ke Umara Moteti from Constat Ward 10. Ke mona ka lebaka la Nyeko Shivambu. Ke batla mo bolella why. The reason is simple. You are no longer a shadow of anyone. You have been a shadow for many, many, many years. Now is the time to prove yourself who you are to us. And secondly, there is a revolution going on in the Sahel. In the context of whatever Mayibuye is trying to do, you must remember that there is a revolution. And the revolution started in 1959 in Ghana, and then 35 years later, we catch up the train. So we must never allow that again. For issue at cult, I think leadership, there must be terms for the presidency, so that we cannot say, this is my organization and what and what. Secondly, we must be that organization for reparations. Everyone else is being paid or is being given reparations, but the African people are not given reparations. We must deal with that issue. And the last time we get close to get rid of apartheid symbols, it was during the Feast Must Fall. We must deal with that issue. We can't be here in our country 30 years later. We are still talking about Bloemfontein and that nonsense. And we must have a sovereignty. Africans, all the African countries combined, or the African continent, export a dijo. We must have a sovereignty on that. Also on energy, on technology. Hona jwale re rata di
Ha re tswalla ntate?
Ha re tswalla. Re rata these labels, whatever, all those labels, and they are promoted on our fields, wherever we are. We must make sure this organization makes sure that the local businesses get funding all these local and national sporting events. Leadership in financial funding. I think our financial funding must come from everyone. As long as that particular person does not hold strings, or they are left or they are right, we know where we should go as for Africans, and then we must follow that particular path. Thank you.
Re a leboga. Let me take this opportunity and thank all volunteers from all 5 regions of the Free State for having participated in this interactive consultation process of the Free State. And we were so disciplined. People out there knows what we want as the Free State. And we are not going to be told on how to raise our issues. We've got the power in our hands. Having said so, comrades, thank you very much. I'm now going to hand over to the national convener of the Mayibuye Consultative Process, Comrade Floyd Shivambu. Thank you.
Amandla, Mayibuye, yeah, Africa. No, thank you very much, comrades, and we want to appreciate and say thank you for very useful inputs that came from all of you who spoke. We really appreciate the contributions that we have got to receive. It demonstrates that we are all collectively ready to constitute a movement which is going to liberate the people of South Africa and of the province of Free State. So one of the comrades was saying that there's a national dialogue which is going to cost almost R1 billion. But it appears that the Mayibuye Consultation Process is now the real national dialogue of South Africa. And I can tell you that, you know, the dialogue that we have had in the dialogue with professionals and entrepreneurs in Mulu Hotel was, we did not pay for the venue, we just gathered some money to pay for some food there. The venue was donated by a hotel. The meeting that we had, which was given by the tribal authority in Maonisi, in Malamlele town, the temple of paid anything. The meeting that we and the meeting that we had, was it yesterday in Polokwane? In Polokwane Royal. The venue hire was this venue today. Since that we give that we are not constituting a cult is genuine and real, that we are not constituting a cult. I fully associate we have dealt with extreme level narcissism, where I gave a different example in a different platform, that where people said that if they are not there, the whole organization and the whole revolution will not exist. That if they are not there as individuals, anything that they are not part of is not revolutionary. And a person says that even privately to themselves, like, you realize that some of the problems that we have encountered are far much more larger. But one thing which we decisively had to nip in the bud, we are not generations that existed in parts of the anti-colonial movement and the independence movements in the African continent. You must go and check people who surrounded Mobutu Sese Seko and Idi Amin and Blaise Compaoré of Burkina Faso. All of them, they were just giving them support even when they were doing wrong things. Some of us realize that we can't support rubbish. If we realize that some of the features that define people represents counter-revolution, we disassociate from that. And I can tell you now that some of those projects will not be sustainable because those people do not carry the intellectual fortitude and the spiritual fortitude to could carry a movement forward in a consistent and dependable way. If anything, they're going to devour those movements for self-enrichment until they're not identifiable. That is what we have dealt with, but it's a topic for a different day. I see a lot of comrades that we served with in the Youth League, in the Young Communist League, also in the Economic Freedom Fighters. And comrades, this process that we're engaged in here is truly towards building a movement. And a movement, yes, will have individual membership, but must also have affiliate membership. It's basically a platform where all progressive forces must gather. Why do we have 38 forums in Metsimaholo? Let's consolidate those forums and have one under the movement of Africa Mayibuye. We choose the best amongst all the 23 wards of Metsimaholo, and then we field candidates for local government elections and take that municipality. There is a lot of potential that can be derived out of Metsimaholo, obviously because of Sasol, because of the tourism potential that can be maximized from the river as well. There is a power station of Eskom as well in Metsimaholo, which, if properly managed and economic resources are aligned, there's a lot of opportunities that can accrue to the people of Zamdela and all the surrounding areas. It just needs focus. The other issue is Mangaung. Like, it's why I'm even tempted that maybe we must meet next week to start preparing for takeover. Because everything else in Mangaung, and for many years now, have not been going all right. There's a problem of sewerage spills everywhere. I mean, you've got a metropolitan municipality that can build a taxi rank. Like, absolutely nothing works. There's no major developments and changes that have happened in Tabanchu, in Bochabela, and here in the township in Mangaung. There is nothing that is changing in Bloemfontein. Let's constitute and organize ourselves properly and start this year to campaign for local government elections. And we must objectively choose credible and capable candidates for all the 51 wards of Mangaung. So the method of leadership election which we're going to propose must be included in Africa Mayibuye would be a combination, yes, of popular support, but also deliberative democracy. So if a person wants to be available, we must discuss that, but why? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of this comrade being available? What value do they add? We must reason each other, because if you just subject it to ballot can be influenced by money, ballot can be influenced by nepotism, ballot can be influenced by so many wrong things. We have to institutionalize the system of deliberative engagement before we choose those who must lead. And they must speak for themselves as well. And they must be held accountable even for personal decisions. You can't say that, no, for me drinking alcohol and taking off my t-shirts and sleep on the side of the road is my personal private issue. It's not a private issue if you want to lead society. You can't say that your domestic disputes with your spouse, beating your wife, is a private issue. It's not a private issue if you want to lead a ward and you want to be a councillor. Everything else must be laid bare so that we are able to deliberate much more clearly and choose the best of the best who are going to lead society and take us forward. And we must be truly representative and reflective of the views of the people. Do you know, there are very unfortunate developments which, and I know sometimes because you do not want to cause unnecessary discord and everything else. So there's a huge difference between Pan-Africanism, progressive Pan-Africanism, and undocumented migration. It's not the same thing. So we wrote the founding manifesto of the EFF, and it is clearly distinguished that we should advocate for the gradual integration of the African continent so that the economy functions clearly for everyone. There is nowhere that say there must be undocumented illegal immigration. But you'll have a person who will go and say during elections like that if you are going to be xenophobic, if you don't want these people, you must go and hide your vote, go and jump with your vote. And unprovoked. Even when there is no question about that. And that time, majority of the people are saying, we have got a problem with undocumented people here in our society. And then so I don't care. And that time you want to lead society, but you don't care about what people say. Even if you can be correct, you can't override the views of the majority. Every time the views of the majority are correct, majority in many instances, they are correct that in terms of the decisions that they take, but to be dismissive all the time is not leadership. Because leadership means that you must be able to represent the aspirations, the views of the people. The people are busy with something else. They are raising their children. They are involved in agriculture. They are involved in medicine, in a variety of other professions. And then they say that when we are busy here with these other things, we now go and represent us there in government. So we're going to tell you, all of us here, what we stand for. Your role there is to represent us. It's not to come and tell us what we think. It's not to come and impose on us what our values are. That is why even this process that we're engaged in, we're saying we can't just come and say to the people of the Free State that this is what we think your problems are. We must know what are the challenges of the people, and we must hear that from the people themselves so that we are able to articulate. No matter how intelligent or sophisticated you think you are, you can't replace the wisdom of the collective. You can't. You can't replace the wisdom of the collective as to what they think should happen moving forward. Comrades, we are going to, in the 19th of July, we're going to call all the youth activists who associate with Mayibuye to discuss what will be the role of the youth in this process, but also to discuss the possible formation of a youth movement and a youth structure that is going to be either Mayibuye Youth League or Mayibuye Youth Movement, so that we take that shape. Because young people must be at the forefront of the struggles, must define the pace, the agenda, the content, and character of every revolution. And that is what we are going to do. Same with the women. We're going to have the same process. We've got a convener already of the women's structure, Comrade Nontantla Dlamini. And she has been in leadership of a structure called Women in Power, which was not a talking instrument, which was involved in multiple programs in agriculture and a variety of other empowerment programs. So when the comrade here was speaking about programs, it's something which Comrade Nontantla Dlamini was at the forefront of in terms of the manner in which it is. So the movement that we're working on is truly going to be a movement that is not contesting for political power because we want to go and have some seat in parliament without being government. No, we're not forming a movement to be opposition. We're forming a movement to be government of South Africa. And our political opponents now includes all the political parties that are in parliament. The opponents, not enemies. Amongst them, there might be enemy forces. And amongst the political parties that are in parliament, there are scams as well. Like full scams. Do you know, comrades, if we were to give a recount of what happens in some of those political parties, you will be shocked. Full scams. Like, so in parliament you have got political parties which are a scam. A fraud. Like imposters. And that is what we're dealing with. And the good thing, some of us have got intimate knowledge of all these formations the other day, including the erstwhile liberation movement. I can tell you now that even these things that they are putting a commission of inquiry on, they knew that what is happening. That is their modus operandi. They work like that. And then they act shocked and then act like they're taking decisions. They're being decisive. They're not being decisive. Even the whole commission of inquiry on Minister Mchunu, it's a scam as well. It's an attempt to divert attention. They are saying the time period is 6 months. I can tell you in 6 months the commission would have not started. They will still be discussing points in Lumina. Those who are studying law here, they are the law students here. They will still be discussing what are the technicalities, who must sit where, which camera must look at what direction for the commission to start. And before you know it, everyone else would have forgotten that there was a minister of police, and then the next thing is going to be announced that, no, we've redeployed Comrade Senzo as a minister of water again. Why? Because they are the same faction with Mr. Ramaphosa. Remember they were in the same factional slate. I think they were even plotting now to fill Senzo as a candidate. Until Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi came decisively to expose an imposter. And that is what should define all of us. The courage of General Mkhwanazi should define all of us on everything else that we do. We should speak with courage. We must tell lies whenever they are told. We must mask no difficulties. We must never mislead our people. We must never claim easy victories. We must be guided by what Cabral says at any given point. And that is the modus operandi, that there is no one who is going to intimidate us from telling the truth about any issue. No one. And so that the people of South Africa should know what they're dealing with. And that, by the way, does not mean that we're going to waste our time concentrating on other political formations. Let's shape the future together. Let's identify what are the priority issues that we must deal with. Let's localize our demands as well. When we go to local government elections, there must be a manifesto for Mafube in Fezile-Dabi, for Mutaka, for Metsimahulu, for Nwati. That speaks to the specifics there. In Mufutanyana, there must be a manifesto for Mantsupa, for Dihlabeng, for Tsoto, for Maluta Pufung, for Pumelela, for each and every locality of what are the issues that are confronting the people there. And the people who will generate the manifestos are the residents of that municipality. They will tell you, this is what we want in Machabeng. This is what we want in Nala. This is what we want in Masilunyan. This is what we want in Litsimeng, in Mohokar. Localized manifestos that speak to the aspirations of our people. Not some team of so-called experts who use artificial intelligence to write manifestos in a head office somewhere in Johannesburg. And that is how the leaders get to be detached from society. They get to be detached from society, and we can't be detached from society. We will never be detached from society. Kauhile knows that from the Youth League period, some of us have always been on the ground. Like it's not because of EFF or MK that we interact with the people on the ground throughout the activism. As a student leader, even when I was working now with the Communist Party and COSATU, we'll go to all corners of South Africa to interact with our people, to understand their interest. If you don't go to the ground, you'll be like Thabo Mbeki, who says that, no, our people don't want land, they don't want to be involved in agriculture. And you wonder, which country does he live in? Our people want land. Our people want agricultural instruments. Our people want to be assisted with basic things to produce food for themselves. But because he has never been on the ground, he speaks from Kilani. Says, no, our people are not interested in the land and agriculture. That is why they are here in the cities, in informal settlements. And then, as if that is not enough, his younger brother comes to repeat the same nonsense. But if you go to the ground, go and listen to the people who are living around Ismangaliso Wetland Park in Mkanyakude, where the Secretary General comes from in Jozini, Mkanyakude, in Tubatuva, Big Five Labis, Mhlaba Lingan. All those people are fighting for access to Ismangaliso Wetland Park because that wetland, you do not need an irrigation scheme. You can be able to grow a lot of cash crops and harvest 2-3 times, if not 4 times per year, because it's a wetland which does not, the rain comes from below. But if you are locked up in an office somewhere, you will say, no, the people don't want the land. They don't want to be involved in any form of agriculture, which is wrong. Now, comrades, we are going to, during this week, before Friday, we will finalize the leadership component of the Free State. We had said when we announced the leadership of other provinces that we will come back to finalize the leadership of Free State. We did not announce the leadership of Free State because the comrades that were identified were only males. And we can't announce an all-male leadership. The leadership of Mayibuye in all the structures must be gender balanced and must be geographically balanced in terms of where they come from. And there must be generational mix as well. And there must be combination of different skill sets. So we couldn't announce leadership without having covered that basic ground of making sure that all these basic principles are met. Because if we had announced 4 males only, when we're going to bring the other ones to join them later, they were going to always remind them that you arrived late when I don't know what we're busy with. That issue was handled in the first meeting. So we want the leadership to start at the same time. And then the immediate task must be to visit all the regions, get the volunteers in all the regions to discuss who plays which roles, because we want a process of identifying regional structures, 15 members per region, and then sub-regional structures. All the local municipalities must have a structure and must be given membership forms, which are written volunteer forms now, but the declaration says that volunteer will be converted into membership after certain process of the IEC are concluded. But we start recruitment now. When we announce the organization after a national convention, it must already be in existence in all the municipalities. It must be present on the ground. It must not be present in social media and somewhere on television screens. When people hear in Lise, DFM, in Motseding, in all the announcements that there is a new party, Africa Mayibuye movement, when they get out of their homes, they must know that in the locality here, there is somewhere where I can join Africa Mayibuye. And not be stuck for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Before you know it, they will even forget that they had developed interest in that. So we're in the process of systematically and systemically organizing ourselves on the ground so that we can have a solid organization. If people that we used to belong to as members before have got a problem with that, they can take their membership. We are not going to beg membership of scams. We are not going to beg membership of any scam arrangement. We are going to constitute this process and give it as a platform to lead our people to common prosperity. And decisively so, without any fear, without any contradiction, without any doubt, without any form of hesitation. And comrades who have made the commitment in all the platforms and will make here as well and to all the people of South Africa that we are not going to make any mistake in this process, not once. We are not going to make any political mistake. We are not going to make even personal mistakes. We are not going to be found in spaces where we're not supposed to be. We are not going to drink alcohol and be carried and both our legs are up in the sky in taverns and we call ourselves leadership after that. We're going to respect this process with everything and disassociate from many other things which are not necessary for this process. So we'll conduct ourselves with optimal discipline and respect. So don't worry that, hey, Floyd might make a mistake, he will throw a tantrum. We're not going to throw any tantrum against anyone. Even if they provoke us, we're never going to be provoked. We're not provocable now. We're going to work with utmost discipline because we know that at the center of every successful revolution is optimal discipline, and that is what is going to guide all of us. So let's go, comrades, all of us, in a disciplined way to consolidate the ground. We did say that we had thought we will give the membership forms here, but it will be chaotic because we will not know where to submit membership to. So allow us these 2-3 days to identify leadership, and then we will announce publicly. And then the leadership that is announced for the entire province will then be assigned to regions. They will distribute the membership forms, visit all the regions, and then we'll start the process of recruitment. I'm 100% sure that here in the Free State, even within 14 days, we can be able to come back with not less than 20,000 members. The people of the Free State have already said farewell to all these other parties. They have been waiting for an alternative. Let us give them Africa Mayibuye as an alternative. I want other leaders to speak as well, to reflect on the questions that I could not cover. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Convener. I'm now going to allow the following officers to speak: the organizing, TGO, SGO, women, lastly the convening office. But I'm going to subject them to 5 minutes, not more than 5 minutes, so that we wrap up and allow comrades to travel back to their regions. In that order.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and greetings to the National Convener, Comrade Floyd Shivambu, and the entire leadership. Ki dumelisa batho bobo tlemo. I am going to try. I am a Swazi speaker, but it is important also to respect other languages. Ke tlo thoma ka ntho e botlhokwa haholo mo ka gore motho e mošwa mo o bue ka system. It is important to understand what systems are. Systems is just a set of principles, a procedure of which something is done. And I want to believe that this is the beginning of the system. We have started now as we're engaging. Because everything that is said here is noted, and we're taking it very serious that we are going to be working with in line with what we are saying. Because when we say we're doing the consultation, indeed, the gist of the matter was to get exactly what our people are saying. Let me indicate that our manifesto will directly speak to the concerns of the people on the ground. Hence, we are very different as Mayibuye Consultation and as the political party that or movement that is set to be formed. Because I've heard almost at 80%, yes, the political movement must be formed, and we're respecting that. We're holding that very high. We are going to ensure that the manifesto is not a blanket approach like any other political parties as they do. We'll speak with issues as they come and formulate our manifesto in that format. One of the speakers here was indicating that our national convener has been in the ANC, League, and EFF, as well as Mkontwesis. It's true. And I would take you back to the long walk to freedom. It was purposely done by God himself, I want to believe. Because if you check his character, if you check the intelligence that he acquires, you will understand he was about to be tried and tested. He went through a lot. We've seen, we've heard on social media, we'll continue to hear that. But we're not backing off, and he's not backing off. We're supporting him fully, and he will continue to stand for the right. I want now to focus on the issues of the SGO, and he has already alluded Katabayadi form. There's a form that we are going to be circulating. It's this one for volunteers. And there is a declaration down there. Utlo joiner, and you understand that at the later stage, it will be converted to a membership. We're dealing with the system very fast. We don't want to waste time. We'll just convert that to a membership, and we're ready. Our systems are ready. The leadership appointment, be rest assured, the criteria, as even the comrade convener here has indicated, we're going to make sure that leaders, we're going to focus on leaders who are born to be leaders. We're going to focus on leaders. You need to know people, you need to love people. Utshwanetse o nne discipline, go ikokobetsa. Utshwanetse o nne motho a na le skill as well. We're going to also focus on the skill, because we know that our country, everything, the system needs also a skill, of a certain skill. You need to be educated as well. So it's going to be a very mixed community, as well as members and leadership. He has made an indication on the gender balance. We're very serious about it. You can see even in the leadership, we've got women here. Some, they're not here today, but indeed he takes that very serious in terms of women leading in a movement that we're trying to form. Geographical spread, he has spoken about that. We're going to ensure that each and every corners of regions and province are having leaders, so that we hear voices from different corners. The transparency, of course, in terms of the membership, there will be no information that is hidden. Everything will be communicated. We've got website, we've got on social media, we're set. We've got all the platforms that of communications. The factionalism, he is very much against that. Actually, the entire leadership were very much serious about that, because it will cause division, and we don't need division. We need to be united. Yes. As well as, I think if we're united, we'll be able to fight the triple effects. We know poverty, our people are still poor. We know that issues of unemployment, especially young people, are very much affected. Hence, when the national convener was speaking here, he was talking about young people this coming Saturday that are going to be gathered and talking about issues, because young people, they're very sensitive. They want to speak on issues that are affecting themselves by themselves. So we're respecting that, and it will take place this Saturday. Without taking much of a time, because most of the issues were covered by my national convener here, I would like to thank this opportunity. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Gabisile. I now hand over to the national organizer to speak and respond.
Amandla, awetu, Amandla, Mayibuye, no re le bua beta pele re re le tsosa fela hanyane. Ha ke no nka 5 minutes nna ke tlo bua just only 2 minutes. Leadership is say wile mona. Ho ya ka ditsamaiso tsa lekgotla le tlileng ho lona mo. Maqulwana ka ga lekgotla ha no ba di. Ke lekgotla la mang le mang le tlamile le bulwe mamati ha tsamaye ha re buleleng batho ba kene ka ga lekgotla le. Ha ona motho ya motjha, ha ona motho a fitlileng khale, ha ona veteran mo. Re forma ntwe ntjha skala tla ka ditshila tsa kwa ga tlo senya lapa le. So ha re dumellaneng hore ha re tswa mona re ya groundong re lo recruiter, and ha o le moetapele o tswa family na le batho ba bahlano ka ga lelapa leo ko wena fela motho wa Mayibuye o na le bothata. Ha o khutlela hae o sontse o qala hona ka tlung o tlo leader lelapa le feng o sa le dilao o tlo convince jwang batho ba re sale morao o sa kgone wa convince ka tlung. So ha re qaleng ha re jikela hae hore e sugile ya khaula yaya ha re tsamayeng re lo sebetsa nna ke batla fela re bueng ka ground ha re tsamayeng re lo sebetsa tloellang ho lwanela ntho e siyo ha ona motho a nang le stulo ka hara Mayibuye a ratang stule hae mokel se le okay o ithekele sofa ya hao mona ha ona stula kana le lekgotla re a mokgatlo wa batho o tlo sebeletsang batho amandla.
Thank you very much, comrades, for your response. Is there any office that needs to respond now? I'm now handing over to the Deputy National Convener to respond.
No babe sidlwengula No babe sidlwengula Mandla Mandla Amandla Amandla Ngawenu nyani lamandla Yabona bantu base Free State ndizonikhumbuza into yoba lamandla nisithi ngawenu igama lam ndingunolibaba lomcinga. I came here to Bloemfontein at the university 25 years ago, full of hope, like many of the youngsters that are here. I was at the University of Orange Free State. And it is very painful that I will return things not changed after 25 years. It's painful that Bloemfontein, the birthplace of the ANC, has become a graveyard of its promises. When liberation was once declared, poverty lives. You know, 25 years ago, we used to walk from Brandwag to town at night. Now, the cases of GBV and deaths of women and rape, it is bad, it is sad. Because 25 years ago, we used to walk from Stones, from L'Afrique, from you name it. I don't know if you guys know those clubs. We used to even walk to town, to the location. But now you can't. Every weekend we are burying women in Bloemfontein. We just buried Ulurato Mungale, who met someone at the mall here in Brandwag. It means that the same ANC that promised its people protection, it is actually protecting the systems that they say that they will be destroying. Bantu base Free State, ndicela niphakameni ngoku, enough is enough. It's enough now. Si Mayibuye sithi into yokokuba siza kunincedisa ukulwa silwele lenkululeko yamanyani, not le yamaxoxoki. Because badibana apha abantu ngo-1912 bathi into bapha eSouth Africa inkululeko izawuphuma. Befan, but this province is an example, is the legacy of transformation. But it's not. So the power now lies within you. That's why when I was saying amandla ngawenu nithi ngawenu siyanicela ke siyimayibuye sizanincedisa siyile leadership into yokokuba let's take our power back. Let us make the legacy that the Free State was supposed to be in 1912. Because xa sithi mayibuye Africa, sithi mayibuye nyani, sifuna ubuyela embo. Sifuna ubuyela kwela lizwe lokhokho bethu. Today we have made history. 1912 they met like this, our ancestors. Osolplachi here in Bloemfontein. And now we have met again. So let us make sure that the dreams of our ancestors and our forefathers azifinje ngabo sikhona thina. Masilweni maqabane, masilweni zinyamazana. Noko sifundile. Noko sibonile. Noko sinikiwe inkokheli ezifana kunye no Comrade Floyd Shivambu. Sikhona ngoku. Masilweni masilithatheni ilizwe lokhokho bethu. Mandla. Mandla. Mayibuye. 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 I-Africa.
Thank you very much, comrades. We have come to the end of our program today. I'm now going to request Pastor to come and Archbishop Zondo to come and close this session with a prayer. And we travel back home safely. Bishop.
Amen. Amen. Again, amen, matota. Amen. Siyabonga. Che siyabonga. Pele ke kwala. Ke ukutlo na le baruti ka mona. So jwale Lady Bishop o dinga mo. So ke ne ke kopa fela ho baruti ba leng teng ka mona na. Please pele le tsamaya le mphe di phone number tsa lona. Ke ne kopa fela di contact tsa lona. Specifically lona baruti. Ntengwe hape he ke na he ka mona ka lapeng la Mayibuye ke chaplain. He ngwana zungutlile hantle. Jwale he ho tsena tsa ditumelo batho ba modimo ha o kgethu nku ka pere. Ho tsena tsa ditumelo ha o kgethu nku ka pere. Re amohela ditumelo tsohle ka ntle ho baloi. Ke a pheta hape. All the religions are welcome except the witches and the murderers. We don't need them. So we need the traditional healers. Di sangoma ga di hloka mo. Aga ga le buje. Ne gena la tla amen. Litse mo se ga tlo ratana ka re la fu jwa la ka e bona. Na batho ba modimo ke le ka hodiswa ke nkgono wa ka ne le sangoma. Ene nkgono wa ka nna ne se moloi. Na sa tshwanlwane he o wena o motsebang. Nna nkgono wa ka ona lokile be ngape ne le moesele. Ibile ngape ke ena nkisitseng kerekeng. So then the traditional healers ga di hloka. Di amohetswe mona hae. A kere ke ba ai ba South Africa. A kere le bona ba na le dipasa. A kere le bona ba vouta. Re a ba hloka he le kwane. Le ba jwetse hore Bishop Zondo wa kere ke ya pholoso o itse wa le hloka. Ke a utlwa amen ya fela mona. Ke a kwala le tsa kerekeng ya CRC ka mo ke le shibileng ka teng. Le marasta re a hloka. Re ba hloka marasta, re hloka ma Muslim, re hloka ma Hindu, Bahai, le ba mabollo. Re a ba hloka because yanong ntene ya le bollo e ka re sena le botsotsi nyana ka gare. Le bo kebekwa le eng. Re a ba hloka bo ntata rona moholo le bonkgono ba ke ba tlo ruta bana ba rona boitshwaro because pele le bollo e ne se ntwe re bona. Ha ke tsebe go na ho etsaetseng. Mohlomo marena tla re thusa hore re thole go na ho etsahalang ka taba tsa mabollo because people now can't take a money. ba nkelwa dintho ba bolawa ke batho ba tswang lebollong. So ntho ena e sa hlola a re hloko e bona hore e be teng ka rona. And ntho ngape bohloka baruti re tlamehile re etse gore we must open our churches to serve our own communities. Ke hopola hane kena sekolo hane ke bala a monyane eo ha ono etse ba be botseng khona wa futle ha yo tla o jetsa hane ke bala a monyane be ke a moholo ne ke kena sekolo ka kereke ha re sebediseng di kereke ebe mo bana ba ithuta maybe after school di kore ke ntho enga reng re le baruti be na le ntho e bohlokwa e re etsang in our own community. Ke ratile ntate Tomo Hana ke ntate Martin ha are yena ke karabo yena ke ntwena le ntwana ha re be jwalo le ka di buildings tsa rona. So baruti re a le hloka re a hlokala ka ga lo ntse o tha baruti ba betswe ka thoko mara se mona baruti ha eno ba di afterthought re ba batla ka pele re batla ba re etelle pele re batla ba be karolo nako engwe community kana tswa e re rona a re batle comrade ena mara re batla ntate morutiane a re etelle pele mona o utlwisisa. So ho tle bontate moruti re nke karolo in our own community o ska jwetsa batho gona o phulusitswe ya ngutwa he ba pholoswa ke bua ka bana ba haeso he bana mameleng o ska jwetsa batho gore ba ditshila ba jwang ka o fela gona ga hlapile ka sota ka o fela gona mona le omo jwale ke mohau wa modimo re ntseng se go le sona ha se ka sebedisa se go na le sona go kgetholla batho ka go o utlwisisa. So re a hlokana South Africa re tlamela re be ntho e le nngwe umuntu ngomuntu ungakhohlwa amandla awethu matha mayibuye iAfrika ayibuye iAfrika ayibuye iAfrika are menga maoto rona he ho se boloke o se boloke morena si chabasa a Yesu o si chabasa sa Afrika modimo ntate a leboa re santse re tla gutlela malapeng a borona santse re tlo tsamaya ditseleng ka dikoloi tsa mollo a ko re boloke re fitlhe malapeng a borona re bolokehile re a leboa ka ntho e ntšha o e qadileng le o e tswetseng ka ra Freistata re bona ba eta pele re bona batho ba tletseng bohlale re bone batho ba tletseng masene re bona batho ba na le ntsebo re bona batho modimo ba na le boiphitlhelo ke ne ke ba mametse bona hey segwa sa bona tsa Jehova ba ne ba sentsha le ka dinko modimo wa ka ke a leboha gore re se ra sebedisa seo go na leng sona go lematsana ka sona empa modimo wa ka re sebedise seo go na leng sona go aha naga ya borona re a o leboha le go re tshepa ka nako ye le ka motsotso o bakeng sa setšhaba se mohau wa morena Jesu Kriste le rato kopane matshidiso a moya o hallang di be le gona bohle le bitsong la Kriste Jesu amen.